Well, hello, everybody. It is episode 237 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I'm happy to be back with you guys after a fun weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend. And today we're honored by the presence of a main guest host. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
Hello, everyone. Dane Font here. Marketing man extraordinaire. Patron saint of White Boy Summer. The Bruce Wayne of Timcast. I go by many names.
I'm calling foul on that last one. Bruce Wayne of Timcast, please.
Wow.
You would.
I do. I'm calling foul on that one. I would need more. I would need more evidence as to what that actually means.
You can't even prove that, dude, because Bruce Wayne operates in secrecy.
You're like the opposite of secret. You're very open and forward and outgoing. Bruce Wayne is not. Well, I guess Batman is not. Bruce Wayne might be. Fake. Yeah.
He's starting to get it.
How you doing today, bud?
I'm excellent, except the fact that I have really annoying allergies.
Well, that's okay. We don't mind allergies here. We're gonna be okay.
Oh, you will.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're gonna talk about Emma Darcy from House of the Dragon making it on to the Men of the Year list, along with 5 other people that aren't men, as would happen
because
in the year 2022.
Now.
It's 2022. That's what it is. We are also going to talk about Black Adam possibly being banned in China, along with a bunch of other news from Warner Brothers. And then we are going to get into a really, really fun focus group article that basically tells you that when it comes to Hollywood focus groups, when it comes to regular, everyday people, nobody gives a crap about your woke garbage, pandering bullshit. What they care about is movies and television shows that have fun and don't take themselves too seriously. We're also going to talk about Lord of the Rings because there's a lot of news there involving the numbers that we all knew were true, but now we're just getting confirmation. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. We can just get right into it if you guys are ready. Mary, are we ready?
Yes, let's go.
Dang.
Yep.
All right. So it says, and I really do, I had to read this headline a couple of times, guys. House of the Dragon star Emma Darcy makes GQ's Men of the Year list. Believe it or not. I also had to check. I don't know if it's Darcy or Darcy, but I imagined that the
Even if it's DRC, we're still going to say Darcy because we don't care.
Yes. I care. What I found from this list is that, first of all, like we said before, we looked into this. It's not the first time that women have been included in the GQ Men of the Year list, as far as we know.
Yeah, apparently this is just how they do it. They include women in every list. I don't know when they started doing that, but they've included Serena Williams, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Aniston, Megan Thee Stallion, and 5 other women on this year's list, other than Emma Darcy.
Yes.
In a list that totals to 17.
So we've got, these are the list of the different names. I'm going to read through the ones that we have Marissa Abella, Sheila Atim, Emma Darcy, or Darcy. I'm going to go back and forth. You're never going to know which one.
Okay.
S. Devlin, Leon Edwards, Mo Farah, or Farah, Stephen Graham, Mihala, Harold, Sharon Horgan, Michael Imperioli, David Johnson. Is it Johnson? Is it just
probably Johnson?
New on Timcast Media. Brett Dasovic mispronounces names.
You want to read the rest then, smart guy?
No.
Wow. Are you guys going to fight again?
Maybe.
Right here, right now. Lee Jung-jae, Harry Latway, Louis Theroux, Joseph Quinn, Ashley Walters, and Ben Whishaw. I knew about 3 or 4 of these names. The rest of them I didn't. I knew Ben Whishaw. I knew Lee Jung-jae.
I knew Louis Theroux because he's a documentarian, and I knew Joseph Quinn because he's on Stranger Things.
Yeah, and I knew Michael Imperioli because he was on The Sopranos and a bunch of other shows that I watch. The rest of them were all mysteries to me. The only one I remembered from House of the Dragon was Millie Alcock, because she was a big name at the beginning of it, and that's who, when they age up the character, that's who Emma Darcy's character becomes, because that's Rhaena Targaryen.
Really? Because I thought that Millie Alcock played
the young version,
Alicent, or was that
other one?
The other one.
So basically, here what we have is Emma Darcy is non-binary and identifies with they/them pronouns. It is weird to me that, like you said, they've included women on the list before. It's a very gender binary term for what could just easily be called Person of the Year.
Yeah, and I don't know why they have to pick a large pool of people anyway, because then that takes the spotlight and focus off of what you are celebrating them for.
Yeah.
Isn't the whole point of non-binary that you don't identify as a man or a woman?
Yeah, you'd need a separate award
But
team.
Whenever people pointed this out in response, they were shot down and said, it's historically both men and women on the list, and Emma Darcy identifies as neither, so it's fine for Emma Darcy to be on this list.
What I noticed looking through this list, outside of the UFC fighter, I just see a lot of Hollywood's desire to socially engineer men to be a lot less masculine than they're actually designed to be.
This is also Hollywood's desire to pat themselves on the back at every opportunity, because why would a Man of the Year, or I suppose this one is Human of the Year award, be given to an actor? Because I think that actors and actresses offer some of the least value to society.
Well, I'm going to say I have a list here, or I'm sorry, not a list, but it says by Mike Christensen, says November 4th, 2022. This month we're celebrating the 25th GQ Men of the Year event, which recognizes the best and brightest talent from across culture, sports, and entertainment. So it's specific to those fields.
Literally, what's the point of calling it men? Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. So
just to subvert expectations, I suppose.
I think part of it is because they want to muddle the definition of what that word means even. And I think back to what Brad Pitt said like a month ago when he says that he found the Clint Eastwood version of masculinity tiresome. Being a guy is tiresome. Having any type of testosterone is apparently tiresome to Brad Pitt and all of Hollywood. And it does feel like an agenda to kind of push people socially away from the idea of masculinity. I was watching a video over the weekend where it was like a boilerplate Jordan Peterson clip, and it was on social media talking about the necessity of men versus what society is telling them they need to be these days. And there was this really, really vile comment that was meant to be vile in the comments that basically told all men, like, you're worthless, you mean nothing. It was very clearly a troll comment, but the level of vitriol still meant that somebody had to type that comment out and actually say that. And it was like, as a man, you're useless, you mean nothing to society, you're worthless. And it's in a weird contradiction, because when we look at the way Hollywood is now casting their movies for roles, it seems like they want to tell all women that they have to behave like men anyways. That to be the best version of a woman, you have to be a discount version of a man.
So is it like a super low key, like, chicks suck this then?
This? Well,
I mean, it's doing a disservice to everyone on all sides. Yeah. But I think specifically what GQ is trying to do, as they are officially a men's magazine, but not really, because they don't appeal to men.
Not actual men.
What they're doing is taking the opportunity to undermine any attempt at celebrating men's accomplishments or men with notoriety.
No Zelensky on that list. I imagine Zelensky would have ended up on that list.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Big missed opportunity there, guys.
He'll be in the Woman of the Year.
Like, GQ is clearly not doing anything to appeal to a male audience.
No.
And they're undermining reasonable desire to just recognize notable men in entertainment.
Is there a bastion for manhood right now? At all?
No.
I mean,
is Men's Health still appeal to men?
Even like Sports Illustrated.
Not even magazine. I mean,
no
anything.
Fat chicks.
Taken over.
No fat chicks, according to Jordan Peterson on Sports Illustrated.
Based.
Yeah, there's been a complete leadership.
No, but they have Elon Musk's mom. No old ladies either.
Yeah, that was really creepy.
Yeah, lest we forget.
To me, it feels like what they're advertising here is to women who don't understand what they actually want from men. Like, this GQ isn't for men; it's for women that imagine they want men to be a certain way when historically we're told something very, very different.
I just don't understand what the criteria are for nominating someone to this list. Is it displaying certain masculine traits? Is it like people whose accomplishments are characteristically masculine?
Nope.
Like, I don't know. It just feels demeaning to the women who are put on the list, and it feels also demeaning to the men who are put on the list and overshadowed by women on it.
It is kind of, I do kind of, at least for the Darcy bit, I do kind of put the blame on Caitlyn Jenner for what happened a few years ago when Caitlyn Jenner, first year as a woman, decided to prove that he was better than all women by beating all the women for Women of the Year.
And you pointed out that, of course, Glamour's Woman of the Year award is not something that you enter a contest to win.
Yeah.
So it is actually kind of random. But like, clearly there's a problem on both sides where they're trying to dilute the meaning of both woman and man.
Yeah.
And every space that traditionally was for putting the spotlight on a man or woman
or even men's
who is
interests.
Successful is being taken over and reversed. So men are encroaching upon women's spaces, women are encroaching upon men's spaces, and then ultimately everyone loses.
And they wonder why society is sick and unaware of how to deal with things, because there's no actual solid ground to walk on anymore. Everything is kind of up in the air. And it reminds me of the other one was Sports Illustrated. I remember, I'm sorry, Playboy, when they're like, we're not going to feature hot women anymore. We're going to feature natural women. And everyone's like, we don't want that.
And
sorry.
I mean, it's not like I would be fully behind what Playboy was about before that, or before with Hugh Hefner at the helm. I am someone with traditional values, so I oppose it either way. But you're replacing the, patriarchal order with something that's even worse.
Which nobody wants. Like, it's one thing to make a patriarchal product that may have moral, something that causes moral qualms for you, but sells well and does well in the market that it's meant to operate in, instead of just being something that it's totally taken over. It's making something antithetical to what its actual audience wants, and then they wonder, well, why is it failing?
But it's failing because every single piece of media is controlled by activists. And every written or video thing is at the behest of activists, and it's insane. Like, if you watch sports right now, every play gets interrupted. Well, lest we forget this call. It's like, brother, who scored the point?
Yep. So it says Emma D'Arcy. It says just to head this question off of the past, Emma D'Arcy is non-binary and uses they/them pronouns. At first, I figured that was part of the reason GQ chose to include them on the Men of the Year list. However, the list also includes several cis women. Also, I am against the term cis. I think it's another. You're adding more that needs to be there.
Well, it's trying to impose their language onto everyone else who isn't in the know, But I can't help but think that Emma D'Arcy is posturing with this identity to bolster her acting career and get more roles. And I think it's actually working against her because it makes you, like, even though Emma D'Arcy is playing a woman and is portrayed as a woman on screen and is just, for some odd reason, we have no idea why, is good at playing a woman character.
She says that. She says she says I'm very good at playing women characters. That is bad.
I don't think you're going to get casted in male roles simply by identifying as non-binary. It doesn't make you more marketable as an actor to identify this way.
I don't mean to be snide.
Elliot Page gets to play both characters now, men and women.
Based. I don't mean to be
Not
snide.
based.
I don't know. I'm just saying it as a filler. What did she do before House of Dragons? I'm just asking because you know a lot about actors typically.
I'd never heard of Emma D'Arcy before this.
I hadn't heard of any of the House of the Dragon.
But I do believe that in a lot of cases nowadays, putting a label on your name like non-binary is a marketing tool for your acting career. I can't assume what's in their heart and in their head, but I do understand that in the early stages of it. Now, I can't remember this actor's name. It was there was an actress who was in the second season of Arrow. And she was one of the first times I'd ever seen, in fact, I'm going to look it up, was non-binary. And it was so long ago that when I was
in her character?
It was not in the character. She played a female character. But when I was reading her IMDb, I kept getting confused because they kept referring to the actress, the the non-binary professional as a they them, and I couldn't understand why the writing was so weird for it back then. In 2012, I believe that person in their heart feels whatever they feel, and that's who they are. Now I'm more cynical. I don't believe that everyone who's just happening to come out now is honest in their intentions. I think there's a lot of social engineering. I think there's a lot of ambition.
I think there are mixed intentions that they have, and if one of them is to live your true self or whatever, and another intention that you have is to bolster yourself in the media as representing a certain group, and therefore any casting decision made in your favor is a win for representation. I don't know if this identity marker actually benefits them at all, and that's why it's more popular actually for musicians to identify as non-binary. I've noticed, like, I know Lil Uzi Vert identifies as non-binary. Demi Lovato.
That's recent though, with Lil Uzi Vert though, right? In the last however many months.
Yeah, all of these are more recent, but like Demi Lovato is included in that list. Sam Smith is included in that list. And then when I looked further into this, all of the actors who identify as non-binary, who are not in the music industry at all, are relatively small names who have had smaller roles. So it looks like they're trying to use this identity to propel their career, and it's not working out for them because it doesn't make you more marketable as an actor.
How lazy are people that work in like public relations right now that they literally only beat the one tone? Like, this is the only move for Hollywood people, is that you're non-binary now. You're LGBTQ or whatever. Like, this is the only angle,
and we don't know how much of it is coming from management.
Bex Taylor Kloss was the name of that actor. I couldn't think of it.
Like, what happened to sex tapes?
We used to be a country, Dane.
We used to be a country.
We used to be a country.
That's a valid point.
Are sex tapes more dignified than pretending to be non-binary? Genuine question.
It's like,
I mean, they're more effective. You can see that. You can see from Kim Kardashian, and Paris Hilton's situation was different, but also Paris Hilton.
You know what they should do next? They should do their own version of gender reveal parties for people that are in like their 30s and acting, where they do a gender
That's
reveal.
A real thing, though.
Oh,
I've seen that before, that, you know, people coming out as transgender or non-binary or whatever, they do throw like coming out parties that are basically gender reveals, and it's like truly revealing how infantile this is.
I love that you said that as a joke, and it's like, oh, buddy, we're there.
No, yeah.
So it feels like just the most cynical form of social engineering through ambition from the celebrities. They're doing it to bolster their profile and raise their image online and in their profession. And society and the activists that are working in the mid-tier levels of these companies, because that's where it happens, right? They get in early, and then by the time they've infected the company, there's nothing you can do about it, unless you're Elon Musk and you buy the company and you try to oust them.
Listen, what's wrong with sex tapes? What's wrong with being fake incarcerated? What's wrong with
hitting paparazzi?
Marrying... Hitting another classic.
Grabbing a paparazzi camera and bashing it on
Remember
the ground.
when Quentin Tarantino literally just assaulted somebody on the street?
Weren't those the days,
Violence.
guys? Those were great.
And Bjork did that too. Bjork threw down on some paparazzi. I remember, and that video was so cool.
Marrying someone and then getting instantly divorced. That was a thing.
That was a big one.
Love that.
Let's do some of these.
Love that. Even Kim Kardashian, she did that one too. She did the sex tape and the super quick marriage and divorce.
There we go. And isn't she a cultural phenomenon?
She's the queen of PR.
Well,
she should
to be
know.
fair, nostalgia is a thing, so those will probably come back around eventually. Like in 10 years, it will be passé to be a trendy identity. They're gonna be like, sure, you could be thank you. You could be this identity, but how about this? How about we get you married to an abusive musician, and then we send you off to Vegas, and then you come back with a sex tape, and then we start marketing you from there.
Love it.
The thing is,
let's do it.
I think they thought like sex positivity is making all of these things that used to be notable in the news cycle completely acceptable and just garden variety celebrity drama that no one's interested anymore. It's not shocking. It's not something that they can be shamed for anymore.
Dating Pete Davidson?
Even like headlines about celebrities gaining weight are not allowed to be published anymore because it's body shaming. But the media has totally become tame and in really like stepping in service of celebrities at this point instead of being
the enemy
actively the enemy.
I would argue
of their interests.
I would argue that the Don't Worry Darling drama proves that there's still a market for standard celebrity gossip, but you are right that the media now works for the celebrities rather than against them.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys remember better than I do that the media like actually shit on celebrities. Like they were ruthless in attacking them and mocking them constantly, and Britney was a victim of that.
I don't remember if it was Matt Taibbi or Christian Toto made a comment about that, about how they seem to be
they're in lockstep with the
now.
PR teams.
What
now.
about having illegitimate children?
All
these ideas.
But it's like you can't
Drake
be shamed for doing these things anymore, so it's not interesting.
I'm not saying to be shamed. I'm just saying to get the eyes on you.
The next will be sex tapes with conservatives. That will be scandalous. They'll be like, "Oh,
that's good." That's
Take
good.
notes.
Let's go.
Take notes.
All right, let's go to super chats.
Wow.
Nathan Settlemeyer said, "Tomorrow is the day. Roll Tide."
Guessing that's political.
Oh.
No, Roll Tide is Alabama, right? Football.
I know nothing.
I have no idea.
I mean, tomorrow is midterms, but
You're talking about
Roll Tide is for football.
Okay. Unknown said, "I like it, Dane." I don't know what he's saying he likes.
I'm guessing his Batman persona that he is
Bruce
not
Wayne.
Batman.
I said Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Dane.
Bruce
Dane.
Dane. Let's go.
Love it.
Bad app, I'm not reading that.
Of course she's
Classic.
not reading
Dragon's
that.
Talon
Classic.
1001 said, "Don't worry, Brett. Your role as Robin is secure." LOL.
I think Brett
Are you
can
happy
be
with that?
another leading man.
I don't want to be Robin. If I have to be any sidekick, I'd rather be Nightwing. Can I be Nightwing? Let me know.
Let us know.
I might not be tall enough for Nightwing, but I could probably get the haircut.
You're sure angsty enough.
And we're going to talk more about this later, but I have there's an actor named Clayne Crawford, and I'm trying to reinvent his hair from the Lethal Weapon TV series.
All right.
What?
Johnny Derb said, "You may call me Derp. That
Derp.
is all."
Noted.
Porco Rosso Forever said, "Meme review today. Happy Tuesday, Brett." It is not Tuesday. It is Monday.
The gas. Well, that one I might have just been Monday and just been like, oh, it is Tuesday, huh?
We're just gonna go with it. Whatever you say.
We are saving meme review till next week because we want to go ahead. You said you wanted to curate it.
We have AIDS, so there's that reason.
True. What about getting AIDS?
Yeah, that was
Getting AIDS. Yeah, that's
that was a big one.
That for a while, that was a timepiece. That's a classic.
That's clip that, guys.
Okay.
What about getting AIDS? Yeah, but we just want to be more well prepared for meme review because I don't want to just open that page live so that any weirdo can post things that might get us banned for showing on screen.
You're Streisanding.
I know I am.
Why did you
but it's
openly say that?
Well, because we're not going to do it.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a problem now.
True.
Just telling you completely honestly, I don't trust everyone on the internet, so we're going to wait on it. Yeah, crazy, right?
You don't blindly trust people on the internet?
Yeah.
You freaking boomer.
But Brett does, so I'm going to look out for him.
When it says that there's hot moms 5 miles away, I just run.
Yeah, he just gets in an Uber and
Right over there.
goes straight to the location.
It's got like a little picture at the bottom. It says how far away they are.
She is
She
hot.
looks kind of hot.
She looks
Kinda
great.
hot. Like I'm here for it. What straight guy wouldn't do that?
Like, it looks like she's down.
Oh, man.
Joe Biden is a beep. Said, "I'm going to be a dad and I'm so happy."
Oh, wow.
That is all. That's
Congrats, Joe Biden.
sweet.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
I love that wholesome message compared to like your username. Halls and the Kid said, "PCC makes Mondays great again."
It does. That's what we're here for. We're here to make Mondays great again.
True.
Bad App said, why doesn't Timcast make a Men of the Year list?
Because it would just be me, and that would be Man of the Year, so that would be different.
Oh,
I beat Dane to it. He was totally going to say the same thing.
I want Woman of the Year, so I'm okay.
He is every woman.
True.
Yeah, you would win that. St. Miles said, like Sports Illustrated, total trash.
Yep. It really is. We're in a time period now where everything men like, women ruin, and everything women want to do, men come in and try to ruin. For every woman's record,
very vindictive cycle we're in.
For every women's record, there will be a Leah Thomas to come in and break it, and for every hot woman magazine, there will be some fat positivity expert saying that you have to come in and accept fat people as beautiful.
And I don't think that women want to see that either.
And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying that there was it wasn't Ryan Long. It was he's like it's unfair that you have to be like force me to look at you. Like, it's one thing for me to say that you're allowed to you're beautiful, fine, but you don't get to just force yourself on me and say that I have to look at you.
Like, no one ever said that you can't love yourself.
Exactly.
They didn't commit to participating in your
self-love,
you know?
Truly the only untainted piece of media is Pop Culture Crisis.
Basically. It's I mean, we're pretty
so true.
If it was After Dark, it would be even better, but unfortunately,
podcast of the people here.
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Nathan Settlemeyer said Man of the Year should be based on a series of competitions. Hairiest chest, fastest to chop down a tree. I won't read that part. Who can lift the most with their back?
I think there are strongman competitions that are similar to that.
Mm-hmm. Caper2X said, Batman, really, Dane? At best, Bat might. But if you and Brett get into a slap fight, I say 5 for the Boricua.
How can he slap?
Are you insulted?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I was doing work as you were rating that, so I paid no attention.
You were taking your birth control?
It's true. Thank you for your money, though.
Johnny Derp said a non-binary sex tape, so two people exchanging hostilities over who has made the most assumptions regarding the gender of the other. That is all.
I will say that maybe the humor that I find the least funny when I watch skits on Instagram or anything, it's when someone's like, "Oh my God, did you just assume my gender?" It's always so lowbrow.
Yeah,
and it's like,
woke bashing is lame too.
It can be done well, but I'm just saying, like, there's a very like easy joke to make that a lot of them end up making.
Yeah, I don't like rage baiting unless it's being done at least partly ironically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Which is what we do.
That's what we're here for.
Waffle Sensei said, I don't think it's considered a sex tape scandal when you charge $19.99 a month for it.
A month?
Who was the Farrah Abram? The one who is like a teen mom that did it?
I think some chick from Survivor did a sex tape.
I don't know.
Let's save the rest, and we'll come back after the next segment. All right, guys. So it says this is interesting news because it revolves around Black Adam, which just won its third week at the box office. So it says,
by the way, Don't Worry, Darling isn't in the box office anymore. They are on HBO Max in days.
Perfect. And you can watch My Policeman too. It says, Black Adam China release in doubt, killed by Marvel fans. Chinese MCU fans upset over Black Panther Wakanda Forever not getting a China release may have turned on Pierce Brosnan. No, they say turned in Pierce Brosnan. I'm losing my mind here, guys. So basically what happened is the Pierce Brosnan, who plays Dr. Fate in the movie, is on very, very good terms with the Dalai Lama. And as you know, the Dalai Lama is persona non grata in China, right? And because of Tibet. And China has a big history with doing similar things like this. When Marvel released the original Doctor Strange movie, they had to change the race of the Ancient One character because it was originally Tibetan, if I remember, and they made them change it and make it, what was her name? I always forget that actress's name. But they turned it into a white woman because they didn't want it to be offensive to China. So that happened, and so this is a long history of this. But it says rumors are swirling that Black Adam is not getting a China release due to Marvel fans, which, if that is the case, would certainly kill its box office.
Might not get to $1 billion because of that.
Oh, this movie isn't making $1 billion.
I mean, if it were released in China, it'd have a chance.
I think it's only just past 300 million globally.
Really?
I don't think it'll make its money back.
That's disappointing for them.
It'll make its money back, but I don't think it's not gonna break $1 billion.
Because people were so optimistic about it a month or two ago.
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess the word of mouth just didn't.
See, I thought the word of mouth was great. So it says, it has been thought that Black Adam would get released in China on November 11th, the same date as Black Panther Wakanda Forever opens for the rest of the world, but will not get released in China, where Dwayne Johnson has a huge following, but nothing official has been announced. That's interesting to me because China is historically a very racist country, right? And The Rock, I would imagine that The Rock wouldn't have as big of a following there.
Why? I mean, do you think they have a specific problem with his race?
I don't know.
Because generally, didn't they minimize
John Boyega's character? Yeah, but that,
in
also
a cover photo for.
And remember, this is
Star Wars.
Usually we have to point out the difference between the people and the government. When these movies get get blacklisted over there, it's not the people's fault; it's the government's fault.
I don't like the framing that it's killed by Marvel fans. Well, because it says rumors on Weibo say this about Pierce Brosnan, and they don't it's framing it like the people in China who would be the audience for this movie are the ones wanting to ban it. Yeah, and it's an understatement to say that the messaging that's on Weibo or any of those Chinese social media platforms are manipulated.
Yeah.
And these could be just bots and government affiliated accounts that are posting these things.
Imagine the CCP version of Pop Culture Crisis. They're just dubbing us and it's not what we're saying. Today we're going to review the great state of China.
No, that's just what Pop Culture Crisis is already. Yep. CCP backwards.
So it says Pierce Brosnan wore something related to the Dalai Lama in an interview. That is what I heard /read, states user Tigerpaw. And on Weibo there are comments that said many Marvel fans took the chance and called on the film board to highlight this and complained to get the film banned. Says this is from Ulysses.
Someone just tweeted James Gunn about this.
There is a tiny toxic fandom of MCU in China trying to kept phoning the movie bureau to ask for banning of Black Adam there, claiming DC is anti-China and showing picture of our Dr. Fate with Tibetan pearls. Rumors on Weibo saying BA Black Adam is banned from China. There's the translation stuff there.
It's weird because Pierce Brosnan only posted about the Dalai Lama one time, 2 years ago. He was wishing the Dalai Lama a happy birthday.
Yeah, it was
on
nice
Instagram.
To meet you.
Yeah, I've got the. So it says
it was a nothing post.
Yeah,
so
that's enough.
It says, "Happy 85th birthday, Your Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama. This photo was taken 19 years ago in San Francisco. Our son, Pierce Brosnan, was just a few months old." It says. Her mom Sharon and I spent a few moments with His Holiness as he blessed Paris before I introduced His Holiness on stage, wishing you of every blessing and good health on your 85th year. I mean, I guess there's a relationship there because he introduced him.
I mean, is this related to any? Thank you.
Thank you.
Related to any religious conviction that Pierce Brosnan still holds to this day?
It's a very good question.
Maybe that is the reason, but. It's such a bizarre and unexpected reason that they would get banned in China because what we've seen from Marvel films is it's the actual content in the movie, and that's something that they have the option to edit out, and they can Frankenstein their movies into something that is considered acceptable by the CCP.
Yep.
But in Black Adam's case, they don't have any option to edit the movie. You can't take Pierce Brosnan out of it. He was a huge part of it.
There is more here. It says, as the Tibetan Journal points out in an article in 2021, Pierce Brosnan is known to have traveled to India to visit the Dalai Lama. So in addition to his San Francisco, and is reported to have funded different Tibetan projects, including the donation of over $300,000 that he got from photographs taken at his wedding in 2001 to build a school for Tibetan children. So maybe it's
how dare he?
Maybe it's the Dalai Lama. Maybe it's the fact that China doesn't recognize Tibet as an independent state. You know what I'm saying? Like,
at this point, we're gonna see like these big film studios need political advisors to point out the possible loopholes that China will find to ban them from their country.
And this is the problem with globalist entertainment, is that there will always be somebody who is going to be offensive or have run across or run afoul of someone somewhere sometime.
And this consideration is something that they're going to have to build into the way they budget films.
Yep.
Like if there's a risk that you won't get released in China, then you're going to have to plan for that and how much money you spend on the film.
I guarantee you Marvel
Marvel
does that
plans
now.
on it. I don't think that the creators of Black Adam ever thought that this would be a problem.
Can PCC have a tacit enemy? And if so, I have a proposition.
Okay, propose.
Meryl Streep.
No,
I mean...
she's old. No. I want a cool enemy.
A cool enemy?
Yeah.
Why would you be enemies with someone that's cool?
Well, it's like, okay. If
arch nemesis.
Got him.
If you're in the semifinals of a competition and you lose, you want the team that beat you to win because then you lost to the team that won.
She has the most Oscars for.
That doesn't mean anything.
That's kind of cool.
We spend all our time trashing the Oscars. Brosnan also admits that he carried Tibetan holy beads given to him by the monk on an airplane that suffered massive turbulence, where he thought he was going to die, so he now carries them with him whenever he travels. So it's more than just a passing connection.
Okay, but this is not public knowledge until now.
I mean, yeah, well, what do you mean?
This is something that they could not have foreseen.
No, but China could have
How extensively do they research each and every person involved? I mean,
well, Pierce Brosnan's is the biggest name of all the actors in that movie besides The Rock.
Yeah, he actually is probably one of the box office draws.
Yeah, like and not to mention he got a lot of publicity because people loved his character in that movie.
Have other movies featuring Pierce Brosnan been released in China?
I don't know. I remember China played a big part of Die Another Day. I'm sorry, The World Is Not Enough. No, Die Another Day. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh.
My brain just shut off for a minute there. Where the Wei Lin character is a Chinese spy, if I remember correctly. Yes, her name is Wei Lin. It's a great name.
That was banned in China?
No, I'm saying that China played a role in the movie. I don't know if the film got banned. So he's at least had films that at least involved Chinese characters.
Okay.
Dude, how hard must it be to plan for a movie in China?
Yeah.
They must have someone hired specifically for that, like combing every scene.
They hire cultural like attaches and people that are job is basically to look at what they're making and be like, you need to change this, you need to change this.
So much money you miss out on.
Yeah.
I know they do make official lists of content that they ban in their country. But if it goes beyond the content of a movie and it goes into the personal off-camera lives of the actors and actresses in it, then there's really nothing you can do.
No, there's not.
Unless they're trying to force, like, if they're trying to force Hollywood studios to enforce the same rules that they have.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. Like, discourage them from casting actors and actresses that do anything opposed to CCP's narrative.
Yeah.
Right?
It's it makes me wonder too, because then like I think back to when Moonfall came out. I don't know if anybody here watched Moonfall.
No.
We reviewed it on here and it's really, really bad. The movie's just I love it. so bad. Like it's that bad. But there's like a Chinese nanny that speaks Mandarin randomly, and you can just totally tell it's in there because Tencent did a bunch of the funding for the film. So they're like have to pay lip service to China, have to do this, have to do that. They're very clearly kowtowing to like a very specific audience when they do it. Like it doesn't fit in any other rendition of the movie. And this is the way it's going to go. Is like you're going to jump through hoops, but I think China's, as we've learned from Disney, moving away from China, that India is your other box office that you want to infiltrate as much as possible, having the population that India does, and slightly less cultural hangups than China does.
They do, and India is actually really good at like producing their own films that do really well within their own culture.
And to be fair, China's box office for their own films is doing fantastically. I mean, well, it was. I heard that it bombed after their fake Top Gun movie like got pulled at the last minute for like they needed to redo effects. But for a long time, like the Lake of Shenzhen or whatever it was made like $1 gazillion just in China. It made over $1 billion just there.
We should find a copy of that movie and like rate it.
Yeah, I was hoping that it was going to come out so that we could review it,
That
but
would be awesome.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I think the only analogous political hang-up or rivalry that India would consider is things related to Pakistan.
Yeah.
But that's way less far-reaching than like Pierce Brosnan's
Dalai Lama
Dalai Lama connection, right?
Exchanging pleasantries
Yeah.
once
No,
over
see,
Twitter.
but I just told you it's not just that.
If you look
they
at the
have more of a
content of
connection.
Black Adam, the actual content of the movie, you're golden. They didn't include any gay stuff, and it's like
Which is a big-
pro-masculinity as far as you can tell.
Yeah.
So, they should have had nothing to worry about.
Actually, I disagree with that because there's a lot in there about political uprising, though not against government the same way as we would think. But they do push back. In fact, if anything, the JSA is like an invading foreign government in that movie. But they wouldn't have taken kindly to the idea of a people's uprising of any sort.
Yeah, but
China-
you can get away with it.
Maybe more like that seems like more of a reason if I was China to have a problem than the vague notion that Pierce Brosnan once knew the Dalai Lama sort of well. The people going might know that, they might not, but they're definitely going to see a bunch of citizens rising up against an oppressive force, which the Chinese government would want to quell the desire for them to do.
But John Cena once did a no, and they just had him apologize. I wonder if Pierce Brosnan could have been like, my bad.
I don't think.
Well, this is all just rumors still.
Yeah.
So that the aspect that it's about political uprising in part could definitely be one of the reasons.
Yeah. So it's saying the movie has about 256 million. I think that was when this article was written. It's probably, I think they said it's over 300 million at the box office now.
It's a
but
bit
the
of
movie,
a disappointment.
the movie cost $200 million to make, which means it costs they'll have to make at least 500 million if they want to end up near profitability.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
No. Well, the thing is, though, is that there's enough goodwill with the movie that it may draw people to HBO Max. It may do well in pay VOD, like once the movie comes off streaming and goes to like on demand. So we'll see. But it would do very, very well with that China release. But I'm also one of those people that I get it when people talk about we shouldn't be doing business there anyways.
I don't know.
I
think
I'm saying I get it. I'm not saying I understand that that's not a reasonable position for most of these companies to make their money back.
Because we're always talking about the fact that mega corporations don't have ethical codes, and we can't ask that of them when the rest of the time that they attempt it, we're trashing them. Like I think if it's in their interest profit-wise to have a release in China, there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Not to mention the fact that we understand that even if they did not release the movie there, they would do it for selfish reasons, not for actual virtuous reasons.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's go super chats.
Colt said, I miss when celebs were on cocaine. They were fun. Now they're just naturally insane without the aid of the good drugs.
Drug addictions, like it was just so many different angles.
They're still doing drugs. We'll
talk about that later. Actually,
there's still plenty
it's kind
of
a
drugs
sad story
being done there. They can just get Adderall and be prescribed to it.
It's extremely common.
Getting sent to rehab, that used to be a thing.
I mean, it's still a thing. They still do all of the things that you're listing.
My favorite,
but it's not shocking anymore because we don't have any prevailing sense of like morality.
My favorite was when they would make it about like a celebrity would go to rehab for exhaustion.
That's what they said for Kanye. Yeah. They literally said that he went to get a psych evaluation because of exhaustion from touring. How are we supposed to sit and believe that?
I'm gonna fake go to rehab after I fake get married and then fake relapse just to see how we can help the show.
That's all fun stuff, but like the American public just cannot be scandalized anymore. Like none of it is scandalous or interesting to them.
It's our own fault.
Yeah,
not a challenge.
Yeah, challenge accepted. Bad App said, I want a refund. That is all. You never wanted a refund before.
No,
you knew that your super chats weren't getting read, so this is new.
Guys, I learned what dab means.
I taught Dane what dabbing is supposed to
I'm such a boomer because I thought this was dabbing.
He was like, he was...
I was doing some weird Russian dance.
He was putting one of his hands to his chest instead of like mimicking the coughing motion.
Yeah, it's like, I'm doing...
So you just look like you're hitting yourself in the chest?
But now I know. That's for all my boomers in chat.
Yeah. B Mafia 716 said Alabama are called the Crimson Tide, so yes, reference to a red wave.
Yeah, why do they say Roll Tide at Alabama? The explanation seems to be that Roll Tide was a chant folks inserted at the end of the song, which later was incorporated into it, kind of like how we chant Roll Tide Roll in the middle of Sweet Home Alabama during games. So, yeah. Yep.
Hobbit said, went to the store yesterday and realized I needed to thank Mary. Her callous cart behavior inspired me to take the time to cheerily return mine.
Hey. Now that is that story had a...
Obey all the way, right away, every day in a cheerful way.
That story had an up and down. I liked it. It was like, I thought he was
an emotional roller coaster.
I thought he was going to be like, and then I decided to just throw a cart into like a Mercedes.
He was trying to get my hopes up that he would, Potatoes for Seamus said, Bad App, when is the Taco Bell sex tape? Good question.
God help us all.
And Bad App, I am not reading that.
Shocker.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Mary, how could you not trust us? I mean, we all trust Bad App and everything is fine. Also, happy Saturday, Brett and Dane. You are my woman of the year every year. Aww. And Brett is my man of the year, tied with Bad App every year. Brett is doing a happy dance right now.
I'll take it. Okay, at least you didn't win.
I won woman of the year all by myself.
Dane is every woman.
Fair enough.
Correct.
Bad App said, oh no, I'm not going to read that one either. Bad App, if you want a refund, why are you still sending us money?
He's confused.
He is. Potatoes for Seamus said, Bad App, I'm not reading that, LOL.
Based.
Bjorg Vin said, the Tibetan flag has a yellow border on 3 sides to represent an openness to outside thought.
Beautiful.
Interesting. Gross John said, took Brett Lauren Southern's advice and started watching Merlin. Very refreshing show. Thanks for the recommendation, Brett. Happy Tuesday.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
What is this Happy Tuesday meme?
Because Brett was having like a mental breakdown on Friday because everyone was saying like Happy Thursday or like saying it was Thursday.
Somebody didn't realize. Somebody said like they thought it was Thursday.
Someone actually thought it was Thursday and then they just ran with it because Brett was confused.
Yes. I was like, but it's not Thursday. It's Friday. Also, I want to point out that show, Merlin, if you want to watch like a version of Katie McGrath before she became insufferable on Supergirl, she's great in that show. In the early seasons.
Justin Asquith said, modern movies are not good enough to be putting this much money in them to begin with. If they have to go overseas to make it back, it's already a flop, especially if they have to bow to people that hate you. That's true for Top Gun Maverick. Like, they didn't have to rely on a China box office.
And I would like to see them cut the budgets in these movies down by a lot because I think it would force them to, necessity being the mother of invention at all, that you could have better writing and be more creative if you didn't just give them a gazillion dollars to spend on special effects. And I think that some special
Literally
results,
all special effects,
some amazing results could come out of that.
But then you're not going to get as many explosions.
True. Every production should just hire John Cena to apologize in terrible Mandarin.
All right, let's save the rest. We'll come back after we get through the next our next bit of news, which is very, very interesting, guys. This is one of my favorite things that I've seen all day. So basically, this weekend, I was watching a show called Lethal Weapon. Yes, the TV show, not the movie. And it reminded me of this article because I knew I wanted to talk about it on Monday. So it says, a new report claims that Hollywood focus groups overwhelmingly prefer a fake, problematic TV show to a real woke production. Imagine my shock, right?
What?
So what they do here is they go into detail about how these focus groups works. It says, a typical industry practice, focus groups are a sort of group interview conducted by various studios to gauge the interests of various demographics in a given product, such as film, television shows, and video games. As allegedly detailed by the independent Disney reporter WDW Pro by one of their verified insiders over the past 2 years, one unnamed studio has been organizing a number of such interviews in order to gauge interest in some of their new and already greenlit police action series. This is where I'm going to get into what I mean about Lethal Weapon here.
Dude, this is so annoying. I hate that these type of people need a scientific experiment to validate like absolute observable reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'm saying it's the hard part is because you know it's true, I know it's true, she knows it's true, but they need somebody.
You could say that Hollywood needs to believe the science and listen to the experts.
So here's what they say. So it says, to do so, they screen 3 episodes of said series as well as 3 episodes of a fake, tonally opposite cop show produced solely for the purpose of the focus group, and afterwards asked participants which of the 2 options they found more engaging. Notably, these episodes were composed of partial animatics and of audio accompaniment with limited voice casts, different such as and featured no music. So it's basically just like a limited pitch series on how to get across the general points of what this series would be. Now, here's the details about what the 2 different shows are. So it says Show A, which is currently in production, follows the story of, get ready, guys, tell me this doesn't sound like the greatest thing you've ever heard, a young POC policewoman who gets dumped by her girlfriend and transfers to a new precinct in a southern town where she is shocked by the racism, sexism, and abusive power of her new colleagues, as well as their poor relations with the community they serve. Quote, with few friends, she doesn't know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are anymore, and has to watch her back on and off duty while she tries to initiate change in both her department and in her community. My goodness. Doesn't that just sound like a ton of fun?
Hey guys, Dane Font here, marketing man extraordinaire. Microaggressions are not plots.
I just got off work. And I've had a long day at the office, and I think I'm going to go watch the absolute worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. On the opposite end of the spectrum.
Like the whole plot there, by the way, was like the main character being put upon.
Yes.
Where was the agency on the part of the protagonist? Yes. What was she doing? What's the story?
On the opposite end of the spectrum, Show B presented viewers with 2 young detectives, 2 white guys, one Ivy League and the other one a good old boy, who are partnered in Vegas where they cultivate informants and recurring girlfriends. So they solve cool cases and sleep with broads. Babe. That's awesome.
Broads.
Sign me up.
Every episode includes a fist fight with chairs and bottles flying.
What?
Every second episode has a car chase. Alleys with blowing newspapers, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, unnecessarily overpowered firearms, and muscle cars on the strip.
That's awesome.
Okay, so this was this weekend I started ironically watching the Lethal Weapon TV show, which is one of those things. It's like the Limitless series, which on paper makes no sense and shouldn't work at all. It's got none of the original characters from Lethal Weapon, but it's got Clayne Crawford, it's got Damon Wayans, and it's freaking awesome because it's just them doing. First of all, the Clayne Crawford character, there's emotional resonance. His wife dies in the pilot episode while on the way to the hospital to give birth to their child. So he has a lot of emotional baggage and story elements there. Damon Wayans' character has a heart condition. He has like a pacemaker in, and he's got a wife. He's got 2 children. So there's all sorts of backstory there. But most of the show is them shooting guns, stuff blowing up, going on car chases, saying cool things to bad guys before you shoot them. That's what people want to see.
I think,
and hot women,
whether it's trying to be woke or not, there are pitfalls of following a template that make things trite and tiresome to watch over and over again. But there are ways that you can like renew and refresh something that just works. Good cop, bad cop stories work.
Buddy cop stories.
Hot chicks works.
True.
Explosions work.
It's not even that. It's that, oh God, I just came back from my incredibly stressful day at work where I was undermined and whatever. Why don't I sit down during my 2 to 3 hours of spare time to watch an actor go through exactly the same thing as catharsis? No. Suspend disbelief.
This is why I point out that I said the worst thing we could do is when we got gritty and realistic, because it's no longer gritty and realistic. Now, if anything, it's hyperbolic and realistic, meaning that, yes, those are real life situations. There is racism in the world. There is sexism in the world. But usually it's not one person going through every single one of those every day of their freaking life forever. On the counter end, most people will never experience a gunfight. Most people will never experience a car chase, nor will they pick up a bunch of chicks while doing that. They want to live vicariously through these characters. They do not want to watch a bunch of Hollywood moralization and lecturing when they could be watching cool dudes blow. And by the way, in that show, Damon Wayans is black. Clayne Crawford's character is white. I'm just saying that, like, this is. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be the two white characters, one good old boy and one. It can be anything you want as long as it's fun.
Dane, to your point that people don't want to come home from their stressful day at work and just watch something that's more stressful, and just watching the protagonist undergo oppression and bullying and just like all of these depressing things. That's true, but watching the like cop duo show where they are living this like glamorous, gritty life in Vegas, it also includes high stress points of that plot. And it's not watching people go through stressful situations that is difficult to watch after you've gone through your own stress.
Here's the difference. So and I only know this because by listening to like gaming podcasts, after there is a moment of rising tension, typically in shows or games or any piece of media, something is added to add catharsis to the situation, level the tone, so that you can once again raise the tension once more. Woke shows don't have that. Woke shows are just a consistent line of crying about microaggressions, about how hard and boring life is. And it's just this constant line. Tension is never broken. Yeah. So you're just watching it and feeling uncomfortable because, again, they never break the tension. So a body cop show, right? So they have car chases, the bad guys, everything else, and then they got a poop joke. Breaks the tension. Then they drink beers and they're just awesome and being dudes. And then the bad guy does something. This is what I mean. This is why wokeness objectively doesn't work. It's because it's monotone, uninteresting, predictable.
And show A doesn't encourage you to identify with the protagonist. It actually is trying to pit you against the protagonist and actually feel like you're one of the aggressors against them.
And it's unrealistic for American society. Okay, let's say that's happening. The female cop goes, she tweets about it, instantly the whatever person that was bothering her is fired. Yep. The end of the series. We're done.
I'm telling you guys, go watch The Lethal Weapon. It was only like they got rid of Clayne Crawford after 2 seasons. Apparently, he was very hard to work with. But like him in that show is exactly it's why I laugh, because Damon Wayans is like the objectively bigger name actor in that show. But all the great like buddy cop materials given to Clayne Crawford because he's a broken dude who acts quirky and crazy because he's kind of got a death wish in the show. Like with his wife having died, he kind of just goes into every situation without a thought as to whether he's actually going to make it out alive or not. But then Damon Wayans' character, Murtaugh's character's family draws him back in, saying like, she's like, look, his wife says, look, I know that you're that you're not doing well and that you seem to not care about yourself, but I need my husband to make it home. at the end of the shift. But in between that, they're joking and they're having fun and they love their job. They're firing guns and saying funny stuff.
Oh, sorry. I just realized that Damon Wayans was related to the Wayans brothers.
The whole family.
Didn't they make Scary Movie? Yeah,
he's the only one of the family that didn't appear in Scary Movie.
That's funny.
So here's the funny thing. Of those two shows, according to the studio, Show B, the Buddy Cop series, tested better with all groups no matter age, sex, or race. Good television does not have a demographic. Everyone likes good television where they don't get lectured. Not being lectured is universal. Nobody wants to be lectured.
But this is my issue with that. My only fear is that I didn't see Black Adam. I doubt it's a 90. I doubt, like, a 9 out of 10 should be reserved exclusively for films that change.
That's an aggregate, though, not individual ratings. It's an aggregate.
I understand,
of how people
but
feel about it.
I feel like people are only feeling that because, like, oh my God, I'm not a terrible person. This is the most incredible piece of art I've ever seen.
Totally.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yes,
the antagonism.
No,
screw these people.
It should be
Brett,
a 7.
Ever.
Brett,
a 7, and that's okay.
Brett, what Dana's saying
I
is
know what
that
he's saying.
The antagonism between the critic class and the...
I'm sorry, are you woman-splaining right now?
Spite these people. And
You're woman-splaining. You're a woman.
Oh, true. Oh.
The antagonism that exists between the critics and the audience is the reason that the reviews are now a battleground of a culture war. They're not actually representing how people feel about a movie or TV show anymore.
That crap is subjective as hell anyways. Bop these people on the nose and tell them they're wrong by giving these movie 90s until they learn their lesson.
If you don't feel that way, if you don't actually think Black Adam is excellent, why would you rate it that way?
It's not that they don't feel that way. It's that they've been pushed back on so much that what they feel has changed in spectrum. So, yes.
So their standards have been lowered.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
what I'm saying is, it's for
reasons.
you to be cognizant of it, you be aware of it, but understand that these actions have consequences. And as long as these douchey reviewers and these elitist people in the media keep treating everyone as if they're of a lower class than them, they deserve to have their opinions pushed back on.
I understand, but our points are not mutually exclusive. Just because it's a decent movie that doesn't moralize doesn't mean it's The Godfather. Is all I'm saying.
It's all subjective, anyways. There's no through line. It's why I have such a problem with movie reviewing in concept, anyways. Your 7 is not my 7. Your 8 is not my 8. My 9 is not your 9.
We've gotten into this
anyways.
Difference between subjective and objective.
Yeah.
Judgments of movies and TV shows.
Chat, tell me why I'm right.
It's a big conversation.
Chat, tell Dane how he's wrong.
Just tell me why I'm right.
Tell Dane why he's wrong. So, and it's funny because the shows that they use as examples down here when they're talking about that things that people like, which is like Reacher, which everyone loved. As far like that has higher minutes viewed in its first week than Lord of the Rings.
You mean?
Than Rings of Power.
Oh, okay.
Wow. It lists Yellowstone. It lists
but like half the hype.
83. Because
Isn't
it's like what you said earlier, that when it comes down to it, you don't know why it works. You just know it works because that's reality.
And media coverage cannot make up for the show being mediocre in ratings. It just can't fake.
But they keep trying to.
Real enthusiasm.
Wokeness, as much as I hate that term, on its head, at its heart, is a desire to socially engineer what is liked by society, right? They want to tell you that something like that, this picture right here. There is not a human being on Earth that actually wants to see Stacey Abrams in a Star Trek TV show. None, zip, zero, zilch, nada. Nobody.
Literally the absolute zero.
Such a bizarre
idea, that is social engineering. That is like I said, there was and to be fair, I remember like when the Gina Carano stuff happened back in the day, like when I still had a Facebook.
Back in the day, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that hellscape. I remember like somebody posted about Gina Carano and they were like that she was brave for coming out against being told that she had to basically go through a 40-person LGBTQIA struggle session. And he's like, I look up to her. She's standing up for what she believes in, blah, blah, blah. And one of the comments was like, I look up to people that deserve to be looked up to, like Stacey Abrams. And I was like, who in their right mind of any politician? That's like I don't look up to Donald Trump. I don't look up to Stacey Abrams. I don't look up to any politician. You're a freaking weirdo, dude. And it's not like the dude was saying.
Thank you.
And not like the dude was saying.
Gyrate,
like,
Dane.
And to be fair, you should not necessarily be looking up to actors either, right? Like even the ones that agree with you. That's a dangerous place to find yourself. But how's the dance going, buddy?
Amazing.
That was good. So it's just, it is what it is. I just think it's funny because they're going to keep trying to do this until they get the message. And you get that message by giving them 90s on Rotten Tomatoes and spending your money on stuff that doesn't tell you you're an awful person so that they can socially engineer you into being something that, society into being something that it's not. Women rescuing men, not real.
I agree.
Not a real thing.
I agree.
You really got vindicated about the Galadriel stuff, didn't you? I was really pushing back on you, but you got vindicated.
I agree that a message has to be sent. I just think it's an ineffective message. Okay, so some people rated it a 90 on the tomato meter. Who cares? You know what would be effective? Don't hate watch it. Do not make these terrible projects profitable.
Too late.
That way, I mean...
It doesn't matter. They lose money on half of them anyways.
Okay, well... lose more money.
It doesn't. These companies are so well insulated now that they just write it off. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this isn't a democratic process.
No, it doesn't matter.
There's no hope.
I tend to fall into the category of like, yeah, you could talk about not spending your money on this stuff, but these companies end up fine anyways. So, all right, let's go to super chats.
I love how it's not even crisis partying anymore, and Dane still.
I
dances.
just love Jessica.
Russell Thander says, after the success of your military propaganda movie Top Gun Maverick, we in India also have decided to make our own propaganda movie Fighter. Wish us luck.
Well, we hope it. I don't even know if I buy that Top Gun Maverick. I didn't see any stats that said that Maverick did like gangbusters for military recruitment the way the original Top Gun did.
It wasn't about that.
It's a different time now. We don't live in an age where like it's as easy to get people. I watched a really funny TikTok the other day of a guy who's like, I supported the war in Iraq. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I was 18.
He was 12.
He's like it's a really funny video where he talks about how like the internet is a good thing because like you just have more information now.
Yeah.
He's like, I wanted us to get those WMDs. like it was just a different time.
Yeah, and they did update it for the modern audience, so to speak.
So to speak.
Know who those people are, but they did change at least the appearance of Top Gun for the new one. Hava Owens said, I won my fight Saturday and got some money for it. Now I can finally say, what's up, PCC crew? Also, globalist media is toxic and dry.
He won a fight?
He's a MMA.
Yeah.
What?
Congratulations,
That's
man.
awesome.
It's awesome.
Actually real. He's not lying. The Last of My Kind said, if DC puts their early 2K's animated writers and storytelling in live movies, they'll dominate the box office. Less focus on CG, more focus on characters.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I watched a Green Lantern animated movie from like this year that was bad this weekend. Behold My Power or something like that. It was not good. Like he's right about early 2K. I went through a couple of kicks this weekend. One was like early Justice League animated series, and then a couple of the modern ones, and that one like not good.
Hava Owens said movie budgets are too inflated.
Yep, cut those budgets down and make these people be more creative with how they make their movies.
The Last of My Kind said, also go Astros World Series champs, #Dynasty.
Yeah, I saw that this is like their chance to, after 2017, after the cheating scandal of 2017, they've got their vindication now.
They beat the Braves so much, so that makes me so mad. That's my baseball team.
The Braves?
Yeah.
Why?
because when they were the Milwaukee Braves, they were one of the first teams to broadcast in Puerto Rico, and that's how my grandfather became a fan, and thus I am a fan.
Well, the Twins beat the Braves in the '91 World Series.
I mean, everyone has. I mean,
Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo said,
Based.
Brett, I would love to be your nemesis. Yes, the arch nemesis of Pop Culture Crisis is Joe Schmo 32.
I thought we were a champion of Joe Schmo 32. Like, I thought we were ones that were pretty much there to champion Joe Schmo 32's life.
Brett's nemesis is good Batman's.
Wrong. Incorrect. False.
Hava Owens said, I want to unwind, not be lectured to.
Imagine that.
Same.
I also want to point out that another reason that I think that it's not just about the movies they make, it's about reining your actors in. Is like I said, a lot of those themes in Black Adam would have been a lot more annoying if The Rock had been out here telling you that you were a horrible person. Or if Pierce Brosnan was saying, I recognize my white privilege or something stupid like that. Like, the fact that there weren't people lecturing you before you went to the movie made those kind of wokish elements go down a little bit more.
Maybe it was like The Rock pressuring Pierce Brosnan, like, don't say
Shut the hell up, dude. What are you
No.
doing? Stop it.
No, bad boy. Waffle Sensei said, if you are not a lesbian POC who moved into the country and are facing bigotry, don't watch the show. Give your ticket away to a POC. Do your part.
That's exactly
so true.
Go off, King.
Go off. You're actively taking seats away from people who are going to stream this at home.
How could you? That is bandwidth. That is bandwidth in server.
You're taking up bandwidth from the other POC viewers who are going to watch the show and feel represented by it.
The genius of Waffle Sensei.
Potatoes for Seamus said Mary and Brett arguing. How cute. LOL.
I mean, half of our time is spent.
Did we argue?
We spiritedly debated something.
It all blends together now because we fight so much.
That's what we're good
on
at.
and off camera.
That's what we're good at.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Dane, you are always right.
Well, you were doing great up till there.
Yeah.
Seamus.
Interesting. Thank you for that one.
Lane said, hate watching is a cancer on the entertainment industry and should be shamed. Changed my mind. This is the same live chat that begged for us to watch Rings of Power because they didn't want to watch it themselves.
No. There's a difference. And that one time I was nice to you guys, lest we forget, you guys didn't watch it with the intention of hating it.
Yeah.
Okay? This is your career. Naturally, you have to consume media to have an opinion on it. That is not hate watching. That is having a job.
We're special snowflakes, and we get to do what we want, basically.
Okay.
I don't like hate watching anything. Like I said, I got 5 minutes into Enola Holmes 2, and I'm like, nope.
But I
not
don't think
bad.
that's hate watching because you didn't go into it deciding that you were going to hate it. I think if we had watched She-Hulk, though, that might have fit.
Enola Holmes begins with white women magic, and then has a plot for the whole movie, and ends with black women magic, and it's it. It's just the beginning and the end.
You mean the
middle, there's a
second one?
movie. Yeah, the second one.
Okay. I got like halfway through the first one, and then I was like, okay.
Me and Mary watched it downstairs and just dunked on it the whole time.
They made me watch this.
Because it was just like, look at how oppressed women were in the 18th century.
True.
The best was the brothers
Was
like,
it the
ugh,
19th?
feminism.
They're like, look at her feminist literature.
Literature.
Enola, how about you get me a glass of brandy?
We're not allowed in this room.
F off said, sup vatos.
What's up, dude?
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, did you guys see the thing about Morphed Clark, Galadriel, talking about Aragorn and having a man crush? Thought that was just being straight. No, I didn't see that. That's hilarious and very weird.
It's the world we live in these days, guys.
I guess she just like let the mask slip.
How dare she?
F off said, my bad. I don't know how to say this.
Chiquitas.
Oh.
It means like little girl. But
Oh.
It's not, it doesn't mean.
Meaning you?
Maybe. It doesn't literally mean like a child. It's like woman of small stature.
Little lady.
Basically.
Maybe. Okay.
More or less, yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to move on. The Rings of Power. The news is the silence is deafening here. So Thank you. It says
Amazon's silence is violence.
It is. So
it's violence against the audience.
Lord of the Rings of Power audience shrank every single week that the show was on the air.
Big shocker, right? Okay, we already knew this, but they were doing everything they could to cover it up, fudge the numbers, and project that this was a success. And it was a definitive failure and a horrible investment for Amazon.
Not even fudge the numbers. They just didn't talk about it and kept putting out articles about the first 2 weeks.
I think delaying reviews by a full week or 72 hours is doing something to fudge the numbers.
So it's so basically after week 3, it lost audiences each and every week. So it says, according to an analysis from Variety, Nielsen reports indicate that the show earned 1% fewer minutes streamed every consecutive week, with comparatively few viewers starting the show in the weeks after it premiered. So the interest was high at the beginning, but nobody got to week 3 and heard, well, I heard the show's doing really, really well. Maybe I should start. No, because they're smart. They're not dumb. The show also seemed to have its largest drop-off after its first 2 weeks, which showed a decline of around 20%. This suggests that a good amount of viewers who streamed The Rings of Power early on just gave up soon afterwards. But us brave souls,
and we
continued on.
Really didn't want to finish the show. Like, every week it was painful. Every episode seemed to get more and more mind-numbing.
I didn't even hate it in the first 4 or 5. It was like when they got into episode 5.
The first 2 or 3, more like, those were tolerable. After that, it was just real bad.
A little bit of behind-the-scenes baseball. Us 3 work up here in the studio. One day it was just me and Brett was like, "Oh, I gotta watch it before the show." It was the dialogue was so bad. I never do this. I picked up my laptop and I went to work downstairs.
The dialogue was bad because they were trying to imitate the high prose that Tolkien used, and it just didn't land, and they did a horrible job of doing that, and it almost felt like a mockery of the original work. And I was just realizing this last night. I was listening to this podcast of a Tolkien fan who said that, like, that high language belies the depth and composition of the story, and so in comparison
it elevates Tolkien's work.
Yes.
And it degrades
it's like more about immersion in the universe. The high language helps you get immersed in the story, and then in comparison he talked about how, like, Harry Potter was in more of a modern day tongue and it wasn't written in that way, and that also belies, like, the depth of the story.
It took place in 1997.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a great meme. It says, like, I know for a fact that there's no way that Harry Potter took place in 1997 because not one character mentioned the unbelievable 5-year championship Bulls run of the late 90s. So it says, while Nielsen metrics only measure U.S. viewership connected to televisions, excluding viewers streaming on other types of devices, the visible downward trend is notable in the trade's analysis, which sees it as problematic for the show's future growth. Yet The Rings of Power is still making a victory of its early impressive viewership numbers. Remember when we did that story, which feels like a lifetime ago, where they're like, even if it's a failure, we're going to call it a success.
Based.
Right. I don't...
There's 5 more seasons of this. 4 more, sorry.
Well, the reason they said that is because they made such an incalculable investment of their resources.
By the end, the only watchers are just going to be weeping Brett and Mary.
Basically.
Who is sticking on this ride that long? Like, it's going to be a decade from now when they finish this show.
So it says, however, the show saw a spike in demand after the October 14th finale, which I guess could see some type of influence going into season 2, but it'll be 2 years before this comes out.
Because even knowing that they were tied down to making 5 seasons, they only started shooting for season 2 well after the premiere of season 1, when they should have been in production before season 1 even released.
And they moved everything from New Zealand to Britain or to the UK.
It's all very haphazard for a project involving this amount of money.
Yeah. So it says, and then in the 3 weeks since the first season finale, the company has been just as quiet, with only a line in its Q3 earnings report noting, quote, "The Rings of Power is closing in on 100 million viewers to date." Every episode of House of the Dragon got like 25 million viewers or something like that.
I was wondering about how they calculate that, because one Amazon account viewing it, are they counting the number of profiles that are on that account as all viewers?
I don't know.
Viewers like watching it together?
So
because that seems like a way that they could be inflating the numbers too.
Yep. Well, plus you have to question it in general anyways, because you won't have access to the same to the data they do, like you do with Nielsen ratings.
I mean, not even their shareholders have access to the data,
which seems
they're getting
like
it misrepresented.
Yeah. Nielsen has also measured viewership for The Rings of Power as part of its weekly streaming ratings, though there are multiple asterisks attached to those numbers. Nielsen counts only viewership from the U.S. connected TVs, so mobile and laptop viewings, for instance, are excluded. Streaming viewership is also measured in minutes streamed rather than a concrete number of viewers. Now, this is why I wanted to talk about this number. So, Prime Video original series viewership, week of season premiere in minutes streamed. Rings of Power has 1.3 billion. The Wheel of Time, 1.2 billion. The Boys, 891 million. The Boys season 3, 949 million. The Terminalist, 1.1 billion. Reacher, 1.8 billion. Seriously, dude, I sang that show's praises endlessly when it came out, and I bet you it cost a third, more, a quarter of what it cost to make the Amazon series, to make the Rings of Power.
So, following the rumor that Rings of Power's showrunners are going to get replaced, I wonder who is going to be willing to get saddled with a project that's this bound to fail.
Yeah. Well, who would want to be involved?
They've already ruined it. It never had a chance from the start, obviously. But
No. This is a success, whether or not it's a failure.
I do want to add a caveat. They do point out that those series, that a lot of those ones like Reacher, all the episodes came out at once, which can affect viewing numbers. So that's
okay.
It wasn't coming out weekly. So if you open that series, like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like you got all 8 episodes to watch.
Binge watching.
Yeah. So there's that's, to be fair, you could binge watch Reacher, which, that said, out of all things, how hard is it for me to get through stuff that I don't want to watch? And I watched Reacher twice before we even reviewed it. So. But a pattern has also emerged in the Rings week-to-week viewership that may help explain Amazon's silence. Until the most recent period measured, the series' minutes streamed decayed each week, albeit by only 1% over the previous 3 weeks measured. So less and less and less. And even if you looked at our reviews, we didn't get more. It wasn't even like we got angry. Like, we probably plateaued in anger in episode 6. But after that, we just started getting like.
You couldn't feel anyone.
We gotta finish it.
Fatigued pretty easily.
And
this is amateur shit.
Yes, and then
they hired amateurs, first-time showrunners, to do this on a $1 billion budget.
We gotta get Jeff Bezos' son on the pod.
They had $1 billion invested into this.
$465 million on season 1 alone.
And they hired nobody actors, had mediocre sets and costumes and
a bunch of backlash resulting in
horrible
casting.
Scripts.
Yep.
I mean, even the music was middling.
Okay, here's the thing, though. There was even some backlash with House of the Dragon with Stephen Toussaint, or whatever that actor's name, where he's about having a black actor in House of the Dragon in a Game of Thrones series. And there was some backlash there, but not nearly as much. But the show stood on its own 2 legs. It didn't need the backlash to survive. It got better week after week, according to audiences, from what I understand. Right, so that
Man of the Year nomination, for Christ's sakes.
That's what?
The show's so good
yes.
Got a Man of the Year nomination.
Emma. Yeah, and they have a great woman on the Man of.
I saw a tweet complaining that Emma Darcy has been decidedly left out of PR for House of the Dragon, and all of her co-stars have been celebrated over her, and she's been silenced.
They did the I was wondering.
I can't imagine that's true.
The girl from Black Adam, who they didn't announce
Quintessa
Swindell. They didn't announce as like non-binary until after the movie came out because I think they understood.
Why would you need to announce that?
Well, because
who are you announcing it to? Who asked?
They think that they should do that.
Darcy has
how?
Darcy has like intense resting B-word face, like intense.
Yep.
Okay, but I do too.
No, you don't.
And it's just on paper, a Tolkien series should destroy Game of Thrones at that budget. It should.
I don't know.
It didn't.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Well, but
it also reminds me of like it's kind of like when people were talking about when the new Star Wars trilogy came out. They're like, it made me appreciate just how not as awful I thought the prequels were. They're like, maybe those prequels weren't as awful as I thought.
They were. I want to explore that though. Why? Why do you think it would be better than Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones was the last cultural phenomenon.
I want to finish my thought here. So it makes me think of people were like, maybe those Hobbit movies weren't as bad as they thought they were.
I mean, they were okay and they were profitable.
Yes. For this, no. On paper, I think Tolkien still outdoes George R.R. Martin.
But
when I look at cultural relevance.
As an author, absolutely.
But so you got to think the typical mode of consumption for Tolkien is reading. The last time that...
No, the movies bolstered that as much as anything.
I understand that the movies in their time were really good, but over a decade ago.
I think Tolkien
So Game of Thrones just has more relevance. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Maybe in a certain generation, and then Tolkien can be appealing to more than it cross generationally.
Because they're marketing to 18 to 25-year-olds, right? And what were 18 to 25?
49 is the target demographic.
Also, it's family friendly content.
It depends.
Mainly, other than someone breaking what was his name's arm.
Oh, that was gross.
Isildur's arm.
That's the best part. But on paper, there should be a larger audience for a family, for something family friendly. There should be more people.
Given that it's family friendly, and here's something I'm confused about. Rings of Power is like the opposite of a fan service product. Like, they did everything they could to disregard the preferences of fans, and they trashed the fans openly, and the marketing was incredibly browbeating. And yet, I have this feeling that they delayed filming for season 2 that late so that they could react to what social media had to say about season 1 and rewrite the script to do damage control and cater to what people were wanting to change about the series.
We talked about that before, about how like one thing that network TV has going for it is that when you do a 22 episode season, you have your original 13 and then you have your back 9. So as a show hits its mid-season finale, characters that have proven to be more popular or less popular can be shuffled around and given more or less prominence based on audience response.
Yeah, and a streaming show just doesn't have the same flexibility, but they're trying to... That's what I think, is that they delayed filming season 2 that late so that they could rework it in response to the criticisms people had for season 1.
The issue with that is that it'll only help if you had competent showrunners. For example, because the last Star Wars trilogy was fan service to the max. And that trilogy... I only saw the first one, but it was a steaming pile of garbage. So... you can't do it wrong both ways. It's about, oh my God, have a drink. Like understanding the source material. Like it always comes down to that.
Take a shot every time that we say source material.
I think
on
that
this podcast.
I think that for this one, for House of the Dragon, I think they had as much to contend with. They had to overcome the bad season 8 of original Game of Thrones. They had to win audience trust back. The way that House of the Dragon had to win back audience trust by by proving that they weren't going to be like that awful final season of Game of Thrones, living in the same universe. The same way that I believe that Rings of Power had to overcome the fact that they had a horrible marketing strategy.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
So so that's a good point, but I think there's enough time has elapsed where if you look back at Game of Thrones as a whole, it's a win. Mm-hmm. Like there's more good than there's bad. Whereas Rings of Power began with everyone being hesitant and being like, dear God, are they going to ruin this?
I just don't think that done proper. Let me rephrase it. Done properly, the way it needed to be done, Tolkien beats House of the Dragon, loses to Rings of Power every time. If it had been done properly, in the vein of the of Tolkien's work.
They would have to get like Peter Jackson being like, "Hey guys, we're doing it again."
Yeah, exactly. Like
Peter Jackson was shut out of
the best the best done
Yeah.
Version of Rings of Power beats out best done version of House of the Dragon, in my opinion, if it had been done properly. And the fact that it didn't.
The way I feel about it is like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. Let it rest in peace and make something new.
Yep.
Make something new.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do next.
They're just so intellectually bankrupt and uncreative.
I've been like meaning to start the 1984 Robin Hood series from the BBC, but it's like every time I put it on, it's like it looks like it's filmed on like a high-8 camera, and I love it. But
you remember the movie? Men in Tights?
Men in Tights, yeah. Not the horrible one from like 2018. But yeah, so it's everything we knew that was going to happen, guys.
By the way, there was a tweet from the Lord of the Rings account from Amazon promoting the first season, saying that you should rewatch it.
Let's not say we did.
And then there were all of these replies from an account called Farazan's Beard Lice that said, "Wow, we weren't shown on screen one time.
Also,
this is so wrong."
This is my last point against the the Lord of the Rings spinoff. There is a type of media consumer, which I am one of these, and I know my younger sister and all her friends are similar to this. If you market something intrusively, they will absolutely not support it. And not Game of Thrones, sorry.
Thank you.
Rings of Power, originally, if you have a smart TV and you were logging in the Amazon app, it was like, this show! And I have never seen that done with any other product. And I think that there is a type of consumer that is so put off by that kind of advertising that it's like, I will never watch this.
Like two in your face. It's like as soon as you tell me to do something, I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore.
It's not the same thing where you go to a website, it's a space, and there's some prime real estate that covers it. Whereas I'm going here because I'm explicitly looking for something. And before you get the content you want, hey, by the way, F that, watch this. It's like, no. Mm-hmm. And then it keeps popping up. It's like, stop it. You're the thing that's getting in the way. Yeah, exactly. Like the U2 album. You're the thing that's getting in the way of what I want.
That poor U2 album. Do you think anybody actually liked it? You think there's like that one guy in the world who is like, I love this thing?
You know, in that song they count from 1 to, they say 1, 2, 3, 14. He doesn't even count properly.
Believe it or not, I don't go out of my way to
I've never
listen to much
He says
U2.
1, 2, 3, 14. 1, 2, 3, 14. Like, he can't even get 4 right.
Wow.
Let's go super chats.
Halls and the Kid said, friendly reminder to check out Genocide. Not real genocide. There's a song.
Genocide, losing my mind. Guys, I watched some of the reaction videos to it, and it was kind of inspiring to see how much Tim has inspired other people who really dig his work, dig the work that the company's doing. It's kind of encouraging to see stuff like that because it means that we're in proximity to people that are making a change in the world.
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, too bad the showrunners keep doubling down on how good Rings of Power is. I was hopeful they would listen to the fans. Nope, they don't care about us at all.
There has to be like a tactful or artful way in which they can do something where they say, look, we hear you. We did the best with what we had. We're proud of the work that we did, but we're going to look to make changes and find a middle ground between the work that we felt we did and what you're looking to see, right? And that's a very easy thing to say right now, but a very hard thing to put out in a press release when you have your own ego, when you have a studio telling you what they want, you've got fans telling you what they want. It feels like that should be something that would be easy to say, but it probably isn't. So I will allow
they probably have a muzzle on them.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what to say about something like that other than I feel like that it should be easier than it probably is, but I understand that that's not always easy, especially since egos become a part of it too.
I hope the rumor that the showrunners will get replaced is true, but I also don't know who is willing to do the charity work.
Tarantino comes in and just turns it into a bunch of swearing.
I mean,
it doesn't matter.
It's already dead.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if they get people in the same wavelength. You know what I'm saying? Like if they just get another corporate stooge that gives exactly what they want and what they're asking for, some lesbian black cop that got microaggression once and we gotta talk 15 episodes about it, like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Hi.
T-Bone said, Dane, that was me on Friday. I thought it was Thursday because I had such a long week. Blame it all on me.
I always
created this psyop.
I encourage the trolling of Brett Asovic.
Where for the rest of my life, I will now have to look at my watch to know what the hell day of the week it is and be like, just to make sure, and then make sure that somebody's not getting in and setting my clocks. See, the same thing that happened over the weekend when the clocks got set back.
It's very easy to disquiet Brett.
It is. My brain is a scary place to be, my friend.
Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo said, I've had a change of heart. My nemesis is anyone who thinks Ben Affleck wasn't a hot pile of garbage as Batman.
Based! Yes!
I mean, it's at least you're wrong with conviction.
Me and that guy are best friends now. Someone make a shirt of me and that guy strolling about.
It's adorable how wrong you guys are, but how right you think you are. It's good. It's okay.
I mean, it's okay if you're just a Dane simp.
It's fine. If you just love Dane, approval, you can just say that. You don't have to...
You can do both. You can simp for me and have the correct opinions.
Well, I mean, you could, as long as your opinion on that was the opposite of what it is.
By the way, contrary to popular opinion, I do watch this show even when I'm not on occasion, and I have seen you confess that your favorite by far is the animated one, which is my favorite as well.
I don't even put them in the same category. I don't judge when you're judging Batman, you're judging live action Batman. It's the same thing with Joker. I don't put Mark Hamill in the same category.
Okay, Brett, then let's not have a moment of connection then.
No common ground allowed.
No common ground.
None at all.
We must continue to fight
till the day we die, my friend.
Touchy Subjects said, I use Amazon as my firearm to shoot shells at Leviathan. Hope you enjoyed my secret contributions to Dahmer and check out my Touchy the Clown book series.
I'm not looking up anything that says Touchy the Clown. Yeah.
Respectfully,
anywhere.
I will not.
Respectfully.
But I guess look that up at your own risk, viewers.
Put on your
turn on the VPN.
On the VPN. And
that reminds me of our sponsorship with no. If you want to look up Touchy the Clown book series,
oh my God,
without people snooping on your web activity.
Remember NordVPN? That was a thing.
That's why we're plugging NordVPN. No. F off said, challenge accepted. I'm already celebrating 1800 with OJ tequila sunrise while I work. Got more money. Now you have more money. And everyone dance party.
What a legend.
Thank you.
You are making this job so good. So good.
Wayward Soul said, when everything sucks, there's always Lord of the Rings Extended Edition.
Is Wayward Soul related to False God Dark Soul?
I was just thinking that.
I was wondering that. Could be.
Don't know.
Could be, guys. All right. Are we going to do the Carter next?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about
I didn't know what
did you want to not?
Well, we didn't have a specific thing pulled up, right? We didn't have anything.
Do. It's fine if you don't.
I don't, but I have this one first, which is it says Aaron Carter's eerie final tweet against Kanye West has conspiracy theorists going wild.
Well, let's see the tweet then.
So it talks about him saying, basically says, Kanye, let's talk man to man. That's after his...
Kind of weird.
Look.
So, okay, Aaron Carter, if you don't know already, this has been pretty big news. He was found dead in his home.
Drowned.
Drowned in his bathtub, likely overdosed. Okay. It's really sad. He was only 34 years old. And he also comes from a history of being a child star. And his past drug abuse, it was also public knowledge. And strangely, only a few weeks ago, he was still posting on social media, all over TikTok and Instagram Live, celebrating that he was 5 years clean.
Which he then qualifies.
He qualified saying, that doesn't mean I'm sober because I still drink. I think he smoked weed as well.
California sober.
Whatever. But he was saying that he was clean of like hard drugs. He was not, like doing inhalants and things like that. But, it seemed like from the outside, if you believed what he was saying, that he was on a good path. And apparently that wasn't the case. And, another strange connection here is that he was just days before his death featured on No Jumper with Adam 22. And he extensively mocked and derided Kanye. He called him stupid as F, broke, pathetic, and he seemed really angry at Kanye for like the White Lives Matter shirts that he made. And he said like, I think I could talk some sense into him.
The guys that own the copyright to that logo?
Yeah, two black podcasters, I think, bought the trademark so that no one could sell them.
So it couldn't fall into the wrong hands, was what they said, and they offered it to Kanye for $1 billion.
Kind of weird. And Aaron Carter also said on that podcast, like, some really mean things, like, I see why Kim left you. Damn. Like, there's a reason Kim left you. And it was just a bizarre set of remarks that he made because it seemed like he was like personally hurt. And I think that all of the things that he was saying were coming from a place of like pain personally, like in his life, and they weren't necessarily things that he thought out.
I also want to point out that I don't buy, I understand the timing, what it is, but to me,
I don't want to get conspiratorial.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as somebody who has had his own extensive issues with addiction in his life, it's very easy to want to see patterns where there could be none. But the sad fact of the matter is that he wasn't even actually sober, and that bad things happen to people who are putting their lives at risk by using chemicals every single day. I urge you to ask questions, be open-minded, but don't be taken in by that type of thing for this type of... It just seems like more likely to me that he sounded in chaos in that interview.
It was really just hard to follow what he was saying and why he was so angry.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I don't see that evidence.
Right, and also throughout that interview, I felt like from what I saw that Adam 22 was just kind of making fun of him and demeaning him by having him on.
Which is like that's
which
evil
was
too.
Pretty evil. And then he, of course, is the first to tweet RIP. It's just unfortunate. So TMZ broke the news, and immediately people were starting to float rumors and conspiracies around that somehow this is related to Kanye. Now, I do think that this has a strange connection to the things Kanye has been talking about recently, but in a way that is unexpected, and I'll get into it. So Kanye recently tweeted, he posted a screenshot of a text conversation that occurred between him and a former personal trainer for celebrities named Harley Pasternak.
That stuff is so evil.
There's a lot of shady stuff about Harley Pasternak and his career, and he just looks like the type of person who would likely be a handler for celebrities if there are such a thing. And he basically texted what appeared to be threats to Kanye to have him prescribed mind-altering drugs that put him in what he called zombie land again. Yeah. So implying that it happened before, because Harley Pasternak is the person who actually had Kanye taken from his home to a hospital for a psych evaluation in 2016. He was the one who broke the news of this happening, and it was supposedly for exhaustion, but he claimed that Kanye was acting out at his home and had him detained 5150'd basically back in 2016.
Yeah.
So Kanye was claiming this guy had him unfairly misdiagnosed and misprescribed medications that put him into a huge... Thank you.
But no handler, no personal trainer speaks to a celebrity that way.
No.
A handler speaks to a celebrity that way.
Yeah, and there's always like, you could say, oh, the screenshots are doctored, whatever, but like, I don't know why Kanye would have reason to lie about this man otherwise. So this text conversation was a really ugly thing to see. And it pulls the curtain back on something that people already talk about a ton, which is that celebrities seem to be under the control and the whims of managers and shadowy, nefarious actors that profit off of them lacking agency.
Yep.
Okay, like that's something that is an open secret, and Kanye is exposing it. I don't know how effective he is at communicating that, but he's trying to expose that. And what I'm seeing is that Aaron Carter was also, on mind-numbing substances. And whether celebrities are on these drugs by their own choice or whether they're coerced into situations where they have to take medications that alter their mood.
Like Britney Spears.
Yeah. In each case, the effect is the same. They become malleable and easier to control and manage to make them behave for the whims of people who directly profit off of them.
Yeah.
That's the connection that I see. I don't think that's conspiracy.
No.
I think that's just plain to see.
It's funny too because it's very easy to phrase it like they talk about how the term conspiracy theorist was was created by the government to like basically stop people.
Yeah, I don't even like the phrasing.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, what we can see only on the surface level is enough to raise some eyebrows. So whether celebrities of their own volition are taking these mind-numbing substances or whether they're being pressured or forced to, the effect of them being easier to control is the result.
Could just be kind of like a byproduct of the stress of how they have to live, whether that's a product of the high stress work environment, whether that's because they have handlers telling them they can say this, they can't say this, and they have all these problems. But to me, it feels like one of those things where for Carter, it was like he sounded messed up in that interview. He did not sound sorry. And like I don't like the fact that we had to talk about the California sober. I don't like that concept at all. I think like one of the things about sobriety is
it's a cope. It's not sober.
It's about honesty. Like you don't have to be sober to be necessarily healthy. You can admit to doing those things, but you need to be honest about it because hiding it is one of the core signs of somebody who's in distress, right? It's not about that you're using something, it's that you're hiding the fact that you're using it.
For him, it's weirdly that it seems like the terminology of being clean and being sober were entirely separate from each other.
Yeah. Yep.
And he had a weird hang up about it. Yep. So he was really going above and beyond on social media to celebrate being like 5 years clean when in reality he was only days away from dying of an overdose.
Yep. So
you just, obviously can't believe what you see on social media, but also like his attacks on Kanye clearly aren't about Kanye. They were about him.
Yeah. And I do think the interview is exploitative. Yeah. Like it did seem like he was being laughed at.
Like
the
Adam
whole time.
22 is not his friend.
Yeah.
Clearly.
It was not cool. So it's still sad. Like, it's sad anytime, especially one of these celebrities that grew up from the Hollywood machine from a young age.
Yeah, Disney kid.
You start to see it and you're just like.
So he was on Lizzie McGuire, right?
And
he
dated
Hilary
Duff.
Duff.
Yeah, so it's...
Weirdly, in that interview, he claimed that Hilary Duff was the only woman who ever broke up with him.
Yeah.
When he was like 15 or something.
There's a great picture of Hilary Duff walking down the street with like a Glock case.
Didn't Hilary Duff also like date some way older guy from like Sum 41 or something?
Sounds about right. Man, Sum 41.
Such a weird time, right?
Sum 41. After
or
all
was
the...
it one of those other similar bands?
That was not my genre.
Good Charlotte, maybe.
So.
Or was that Paris Hilton? I don't know.
I know.
That was in vogue for a while.
Nick Carter at like a concert over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Nick Carter over the weekend like broke down in tears on stage when they were talking about this. So that's very sad. And him and his brother had huge problems. Like they both had problems with their mother, who was like definitely took money from them. The typical momager that you always hear, which is funny because I was watching a Howard Stern segment of all people, and I think it was Mila Kunis who did an interview with Howard Stern where she talks about her parents wouldn't allow her to do anything for them. Like she's like, oh mom, like she's like, oh, can I buy you guys a house? They're like, no. Can I pay for dinner? No. Like her parents like were very. I think it was Mila Kunis. I could be getting that wrong, but was basically saying that like her parents went out of their way to make sure that they never took anything from her because they didn't want to be that type of influence in their lives. But what you see with a lot of the moms or the parents that end up being managers is a whole lot of Britney Spears, Jamie Spears-ish stuff going on,
or even just like weird maladaptive relationships like Kris Jenner.
Well, yeah, like when you grow up and then your family becomes intertwined at business at an age when you're still forming attachments to your family in a healthy way. It's one thing for your dad to start a business and you come to work for that business as you get older. It's another thing for your parents to be involved in money of that amount, fame of that amount at such a young age when you have no agency of your own because they're still you're still in their care.
Yeah, so Aaron Carter was clearly a very troubled person.
And it doesn't seem like it seems like his family had a lot of problems like with dealing with that because I know that him and his brother fought all the time too. Like it's very, very
You kept
sad.
mistaking them for each other. You kept thinking it was Nick Carter.
I noticed that there's like an issue with people that peak early.
What do you mean? Child celebrities?
Child celebrities, the guy or girl that was really cool in high school.
Peak in high school? Yeah.
Theater kids?
Theater
kids. I'm doing great.
Peak in high school always feels like a cope from it's always no, I'm sorry, it's just exaggerated from the people that don't peak in high school. Like, look at this loser who I went to high school with who was like a jock and now
and
he's
he
just
got married in his early 20s.
And
what a loser!
He runs like a car dealership now, and he's been married to the same lady for like 20 years, and like so he's got like a normal life. Like he's happy,
and he doesn't live in Bushwick and work for Reddit.
That always feels like a cope to me.
I mean, that's not what I mean. Because if you peak in high school, the story ends in high school. You think that getting married and doing all those things happen after high school. Peak in high school is like I was the educated in 9th grade. Yeah, and that was really cool, wasn't it, you guys?
Yeah, I think that we're just referring to like the unfair
No, I get it.
Framing of like people who have conventional,
when are you guys
more
gonna peak?
Traditional lives.
When are you guys gonna peak? Predictions?
I may have already. Who knows?
Hopefully when I'm pregnant.
There you go.
I don't know.
We did have
seems like a peak.
30 crisis parties that one time.
Yeah, I don't want my peak to be like.
I don't want my peak to be anything about like getting sent money online.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
that's different for you than me.
So you do.
No. Okay. I don't know when I want my peak. I guess it could have been for me already, but I'm hoping not.
Men are supposed to have it later. Women are supposed to have it earlier.
Yeah.
So.
I also think about it too because it's like I've seen a lot of people have like really like in pro wrestling. That's like a thing where like Shawn Michaels had a whole career and then he retired and then came back after like 7 years of not wrestling and had a whole second half of his career. Similarly, I see a lot of people who do one thing when they're younger and then they transition to doing something else as they get older. And you can have a whole nother life, reinvent yourself in a way. For a lot of people. So
if I ever work in a Final Fantasy game, I think I'll consider that a peak.
That's your peak? All right. So the Carter stuff is just I lean away from the conspiracy stuff, but the interview just seemed really, really sad to me. And I do want to say rest in peace, because I understand that addiction is one of the most awful things a person can go through. And it's tragic to see. So hopefully there's some peace there. I do want to talk about Ana de Armas.
Some more exciting news we have John Wick for the girlies coming soon. They just started filming.
I did a story post this week. I did a couple of story posts this weekend. One of my things that I like to do is I like to make story posts and then tag Pop Culture Crisis so that Dane or you can repost them on the story. And basically, it was this one. There's like a horror movie coming out. And they're like, this article is like how the menstruation plot line helped Ella Balinska feel empowered. And I'm like, This is why no one goes to your movies.
The what plot line?
A plot line about periods, about women's periods, right? So I read this article and I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is why nobody wants to go watch your stuff anymore, right? And then after that, the next article I read is about Ana de Armas doing ballerina, and I'm like, see, hot chicks with guns and weapons. It's not that difficult.
Well, I'm sure some people are worried that
are we becoming a country again?
Portraying a female assassin is going to turn into some kind of feminist John Wick.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. That is not what happens, ladies. As long as all she does is just murk dudes left and right violently, I'm fine with that.
Okay, she can't be beating them up though. Like she can't be using her sheer physical strength to do it.
If John Wick has 100% kill rate with a P30L from people that are like across a warehouse, then she can do that in her own show. Just headshots from across the warehouse. That way none of the ridiculous physicality that doesn't ever make sense has to be inserted. So it says, fans of the John Wick franchise have good reason to rejoice. The Ana de Armas led spin-off Ballerina will start production the coming week. And we now have learned that started today in Prague. Also, remember that the TV version, like the TV spinoff of the movie franchise, The Continental, which is based on the Assassin Hotel, is in production now as well, starring Mel Gibson, the uncancelable Mel Gibson.
Well, when you have enough money,
exactly,
you're uncancelable.
Exactly. So it says, we have this article which had some more interesting information. So it says, among the locations, Ballerina is set to shoot in Prague city center by the Hotel Opera. And they also noted that Keanu Reeves has been spotted in Prague, so in the Czech Republic, so he will likely have a cameo or some type of featured shot in the movie. Out of all the franchises that are going right now, if there was one that I was the least worried about getting ruined, it would be the John Wick franchise. They did very well with the female character that was in the new one, the Halle Berry character. I don't remember what the character's name is, but with the dogs, like they can do fine with it as long as you keep to the formula and you don't make her superhuman with her physical strengths. But actually, I take that back. I don't know, because John Wick falls off of buildings and is definitely superhuman at a certain point in the movies.
If there's anything we learned, Hollywood can ruin literally anything.
Yes. We will see, but I would say that out of all the franchises going right now, the one I would be the least worried that they would be ruined is John Wick, which is my favorite franchise right now.
I don't want Ana de Armas to have a Cuban accent in it.
Why not?
Well, because she just...
Is she playing an American? I didn't see. Did it say?
She's not playing herself, so I don't think that she should have her accent.
She'll have to do a Russian accent. I think that because a lot of it's connected to Russia.
That would be cool. The thing is, I just find her kind of bland as an actress in what I've seen her do. Like in Gray Man, for instance, she's
hubba hubba. That's all I say. Hubba hubba.
I mean, she's hot, but is she actually good at performing?
Well, you know, physical violence, very minimal story. Let's do it. That's all we need.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's that or something about her having a microaggression about yada yada, and you know what?
I don't need her to
I'm worried about that too.
I don't need her to act well. I need her to satisfactorily fill the speaking roles in between times when the stunt person comes in and does all the physical violence. That part, I will say, will be concerning because Keanu Reeves is famous for doing most of his own stunts in those movies. There's a lot of shots that are done that are like mid shots, so you can see his face. They're shot wide enough that you can tell that it's actually Keanu Reeves doing the stunts. If anything, I would be worried that if she's not able to take up the physicality the role needs, it will inherently change the shooting structure of the show to a more Bourne-esque, quick cut, shaky cam style that is kind of antithetical to the way this show, this franchise built its popularity, which is wide shots. Everything is visible. You can see exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's very, very centric around the idea of excellent action. And if they have to cut around the fact that Ana de Armas can't do it, that could be a problem for the feel of the movie. So we'll see. I do like it, though. Ana de Armas is good. And then you wanted to mention Julia Fox. We have Julia Fox, who just, what did I say to you the other day? I said, to me, I don't want to be rude, but it feels like this is the consistent,
what?
I sent you a message on Slack the other day. I said, this is kind of the culmination of, it feels like we've turned mental illness into a form of social currency.
It feels that way because it is that way,
yeah,
Brett.
We've been there.
Yeah. We learned some new things on TikTok from Julia Fox over the weekend, okay? Firstly, she told us that she has ADHD and OCD and autism.
Should we watch the video?
Yes. She revealed this in her bathtub, by the way. She's with bleached eyebrows.
It's like Madonna.
I have to say, though, firstly, she has done a fantastic job, if this was her goal, at like going from the hot chick loved by men from her like Uncut Gems era to the, you know, like neurodivergent TikToker with a female fan base.
I listen to Grimes.
Like, definitely has made full transition to a girl's girl on social media.
It's been very difficult. I have bouts of like great productivity where I'm like on top of the world and like just feeling like I'm invincible. And then I have moments of like deep stagnant type of feeling.
She looks like, scary.
Like I just can't move. And I've never really like talked about it, but like ADHD is really tough. I have a little bit of OCD as well, which I just realized was OCD because I used to count the number of letters inside of words in my head, and I'd always want them to reach to 10. And if I'm not smoking weed, I'm literally counting. So the weed quiets down the OCD, but it does not help with the productivity issue with the ADHD.
We need to stop rewarding mental illness.
So all of her comment section was just praising her for representing all of her neurodivergent fans. And they're like, wow, you know, look at this neurodivergent queen.
I'm not even saying that you can't be proud of overcoming these things. I am sick to death of people treating everything as if it's like, we are too open. We Definitely. Are too open as a society.
There was another TikTok she posted where she talked about the fact that Rogaine is tax exempt and how that proves that sexism is baked into the market for certain hygiene products.
Well, don't forget the pink tax.
So someone commented on that TikTok saying, your random knowledge is fascinating. And she replied, "It's my autism, LOL." And then
what first?
And then they responded, "Huge W for autistics."
I'm sorry, but
everywhere.
But Asperger's has become like a status symbol. to a lot of these people. Where they,
to a lot of women
yes,
on the internet.
They brag about it.
Because if you're a woman who is conventionally attractive and has autism, then it's brownie points for you. But if you're a man with autism, then you're weird.
But listen, what pisses me off about this is that if you are aware, and I mean, she has like 1,000 mental illnesses, like according to herself, so I don't even want to get in that. But if you're aware that you have either a condition or an issue with you, this is not a blanket hall pass to act inappropriately. This is only so that you recognize in yourself, I have this condition. How can I overcome it and act or as best as I can?
Nobody wants to overcome it.
In this video, she's openly saying like all of the ways that these conditions prevent her from having a successful, functional life. And all of the comments are asserting, again, that the conditions that she has are superpowers and are actually good personality traits.
They shouldn't have seen Rain Man. They shouldn't have seen Rain Man when Rain Man came out.
Like, your maladaptive traits are not essential parts of your personality. They make your life harder, and denying that reality isn't going to help you.
Let's say, hypothetical. Let's say Dane Fawn's autistic, and let's say
purely hypothetical.
We're purely hypothetical. We're all having like a stimulating conversation. Oh, sorry, I got interrupted because I'm autistic, and like I gotta go in. Like, is that an acceptable way to act? It
also,
isn't.
Why does the big part of here is like she filmed it in a shower. It's a store. It's a scene. She's making a scene for the sake of social media.
Mm-hmm. And she's getting praised for it. So another one of the comments said, "This confirms my theory that autistic bitchs are in fact the hottest, coolest, smartest, verified, hands down. She is one of us. She's one of us, y'all. We won."
I point this and I avoid talking about it on here because it always comes across as extremely
rude.
Like I'm lacking empathy. But there is a weird push in our culture to valorize mental illness and to elevate it to a level of poetry that I find particularly disturbing.
I think it's not even like, aside from the valorization or like romanticizing of mental illness, she's also doing this weird maneuver to become relatable to an audience that has very little in common with her. Yeah. And it's a deceptive tactic.
Also, I don't want the world's smallest piano to play like a little pity melody for me. But as someone that's had people close to me with severe obsessive compulsive disorder, like it affects you and everyone around you in a real deep way. And I agree with Brett, like these issues are so hard to cover because everyone knows a person that struggles with this, and you do want them to be empowered and to live their best lives. But it's the blatantly disingenuous, for clout portrayal of suffering that is absolutely tiresome.
Yep. I watched a video this weekend about this girl who's talking about how like the reason men are trash is because they won't go to therapy. And like literally in the video, basically she says that all problems are solved through therapy.
Okay.
And it
then why are you still such a freaking loser, lady?
The whole movement to like normalize mental illness has accomplished the exact opposite of what its stated goal was, which was to like improve treatment and acceptance, and
they don't want treatment.
People with conditions that make their life more difficult should be understood by those around them instead of marginalized for it.
It's like the tweets.
It's done none of that. No. It's only divided them from the rest of society more and put them into this little social media enclave.
Yeah.
And now Julia Fox is trying to capitalize on that and have this PR win where she gets to be the relatable celebrity that sits in her bathtub with mascara running down her face, pretending that she is just like us. It's disingenuous.
It's like when people post the videos or the tweets of them like, oh, I said something that totally stumped my therapist today. Like
it's some kind of competition.
Yes. Yeah. It's that stuff drives me bonkers.
This is what I like to call. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Go ahead.
This is what I like to call toxic awareness.
Yeah.
The incessant need to bring awareness to things that at this point people are pretty aware of. Honestly, hey guys, we're aware. How about we do something? We're aware. How about we allocate appropriate resources and time, not only to talk about things, but to help people? I'm so sick of awareness. We are aware.
And then generic terms like, oh, we need to raise awareness and we need to open a dialogue.
Oh, got it.
About this, which means nothing, which means posting on Twitter, posting on Instagram, posting on TikTok, making your videos. It's like, okay, there's a comment here from Shimmy Shelley says, it's false vulnerability. It isn't vulnerable. Yeah. You're not being vulnerable at all. If anything, it's like when people talk about being autistic in a situation like this. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Remember that trend for a while when people were like, my doctor says I don't have Asperger's, but I know better. Like that was like a thing where people were like saying they would go to a doctor to get diagnosed and the doctor would be like, you don't have that. And then they would be like, yes, I do.
And you can just doctor shop until you get
and you just acknowledge
answer that you want.
They put self-diagnosed in their description of it. So it's like they're searching for an identity. They're searching for something that makes them special, and they somehow landed on mental illness.
I think
that's sad. It's depressing. I feel for them, but I also don't think that the act of whether it's valorizing or not, but promoting it is doing society any good.
There's a cynicism from Julia Fox that I sense, and it doesn't look like that many people are noticing it, but she's doing something that a lot of celebrities do, and I see Doja Cat especially do it as well, where like TikTok, because it's this format where you hold the phone and it seems more personal for that reason. You hold this phone to your face and you talk directly to the audience that way. Celebrities use that to like posture as more relatable and real.
It's mental illness blackface.
It's in a way, it's like, well, they have a phone like me. How different could they be?
She sits in her bathtub with mascara running down her face, just like me.
Doesn't a normal person do that? That's
So I see Doja Cat and Julia Fox, both notably women who have removed their eyebrows
recently
on the internet or shaved their heads, using TikTok to seem more relatable to the common man.
This is where the crisis in the name for this podcast seems to come from for me, is that there's a lot of evil and there's a lot of social engineering and problems that are going on that are related directly to the influence that celebrities have over our culture. And the easiest way for them to do that is on platforms like TikTok and Instagram.
Can we show this next TikTok that she posted talking about
the Riddle Me This?
Yes. Okay. She said, "Riddle me this, please," in the caption.
Hold on, I have an even better one for you guys. Did you guys know that Rogaine is, which is the stuff that helps men grow back their balding fucking heads? Rogaine is tax exempt. That means that it's deemed a necessity and men don't have to pay taxes on it. But guess what? Tampons and pads, not tax exempt.
Yes, they are.
I mean, I have no way of fact checking this, but
that's actually a necessity. Bras, a necessity. I mean, it's just so beyond sexist, misogynistic. It's violent at this point. The way that capitalism extorts women. Truly, it extorts women.
I can't listen to this anymore. I'm sorry. I hate this. I hate buzzwords. I despise this. As soon as I got to violence, I wanted to throw this computer out a window.
Look,
Sorry.
I have a child in my care. Aren't I so relatable?
It's insane.
So there is okay. So no, I was right. I thought tampons.
I think they do have a value-added tax. That's a whole other conversation. I'm just saying Julia Fox brings up this issue in a cynical way.
And all the buzzwords make it sound like it's absolutely done out of a notion of cynicism and look at me, I'm part of the cause, than out of somebody that actually gives a crap about these issues.
But again, it's one of those, how do I say it? Like you can't disprove it, right? Because sure, like someone can not diagnose it and then someone does, and you know who has the truth, right?
22 states tax tampons.
Okay.
So, and that the thing is, if she is struggling with something, you know, I wish her well. Like for as much as I love clowning on people, I don't love clowning on people suffering. But it's at what point do we stop? At one point is simply complaining about things enough? Like when? As a society, true. Like when is it enough?
Because that's the dopamine. That's the release they get now. They don't get, or like there is no emotional benefit in actually solving problems. There's an emotional benefit of complaining about it online.
So sick of it.
There's no actual growth. There's no actual change made because actual change is hard. But complaining about, and I think this honestly falls into the same category that arguing with people online does too. Sure, there are a lot of people, I'll never understand it, who love to argue with people online. It gives them life force to just sit there and bitch with people on the internet. I don't get it, but it's a thing.
I used to argue with people on the internet a lot.
I
found it amusing.
But I'm saying that's where this comes from, right? Like they're getting like this feeling of a dopamine rush. First of all, to say it, right? But then also to hear the people who are like, yes, Queen Slay. Of course you're right. Of course we need to we can't let men grow their hair back. You shouldn't be able to grow your hair back if I have to pay money to buy tampons. Yeah. Like that's, and nothing gets solved. She can afford it. She's got money. She can afford to buy her tampons. And no, it's not literally violence.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't think Julia Fox doesn't have real problems. I'm just saying the problems of rich celebrities are different from the problems of ordinary people.
Yes.
Yep. And I don't like the way that she tries to relate to them and create this weird parasocial connection.
All right. I got one more thing. I didn't put this on you guys, but I wanted to mention this very quickly before we go. This is a thing from Bonding Into Comics from Friday that says numerous Comicsgate Indiegogo campaigns appear to be getting shadow banned by the crowdfunding platform. Indiegogo has kind of been a haven for a lot of the Comicsgate artists. I don't follow it as closely as I used to, but in general, you were better off there than you were on Kickstarter because Kickstarter had a comics czar. Literally a comic czar who would like look at different programs like you're a Nazi and you're a Nazi and you're a Nazi. You can't be on this platform. But they're saying that a bunch of these campaigns are basically being shadow banned. Where like unless you actually have a link to the campaign, it wouldn't show up if you typed it into the website. So it's just something to be aware of that unlike Young Rippa 59, Eric D. July, who did it all himself, when you exist on any platform, no matter how accommodating, there's always the possibility that accommodations will change as people in power change, as things change in general. So it's just something to be cognizant of. This was an article by John Delarose from Friday, and it's just very interesting because as we're seeing we keep talking about pendulum shift, right? It feels like pendulum shifting back the other direction. That may be true in some areas. Twitter seems to be pushing that narrative a little bit now, but we will see how things go. I just thought that was very interesting. So, all right, let's go to Super Chats.
Last of My Kind said, keep watching shows because I believe in redemption. They keep letting me down, though. Same with all these live service video games.
Dude, that is brave of you to keep going back because of redemption. Like me, I have long since given up. Like a show gets 5 minutes to like when I start a new show, if it's anything newer than 2020, they get one strike and they're out. Like if there's a hint of stupidity, I am gone.
I thought the Enola Holmes movie was good.
Well,
that had many strikes, and I think Enola Holmes can be good in spite of its feminist messaging, for sure. Hava Owens said Aaron Carter was just trying to stay in the light and had an accident with his stash. Very unfortunate.
It is extremely sad. And here's the other thing. Think back to what we were just talking about with Aaron Carter and everything to do with that in that type of drug addiction and stuff like that. And then think back to people who are just talking about how they're, I'm quirky and like, I hate that. Like, I don't like the idea that you trivialize any of it at all. And maybe that's why that stuff rings so true to me, because there is a large overlap between... Thank you. There's a large overlap. There's a large overlap between mental illness and drug addiction. And I don't like the idea of trivializing either for the sake of clout, especially internet clout of all things.
Mm-hmm. So. F-Off said... I forgot what word I'm supposed to drink to, so I'm just going to light it up and keep the lid off the bottle. Dane, if you are down to do trade work, hit up my Instagram. I might pay you too.
Here we go. Johnny Depp, Ezra Miller, Amber Heard.
Source material.
Final Fantasy. Civil War.
Ben Affleck.
I think that's all of them. There's probably more.
And F-Off sent us a whole crisis party without a message there.
Thank you
for that.
Based.
SR71 Industries said, shameless plug if you are interested in car content. SR71 Industries, if it's basic car repair, car modification, I'll be covering it. Thank you.
Also, you might want to check out, there's a SR71 Industries. There's a YouTuber that I quite like named Mr. H Reviews. He operates in the same sphere as us. He's over in the UK. He also has like a separate channel just on cars. I recommend going and checking that out.
Johannes Nakpil said they all need Mary's community organizer.
What is Mary's community organizer?
I don't know what this means.
That's scary. I don't know what that is.
Or who they are.
And who are they?
Hava Owens said Adam22 tends to be a culture vulture.
You're going to have to tell me who. I mean, I saw the interview, but I had no idea who the hell he was.
He got to the scene out of nowhere. He's a guy. I think he's a porn star. With his wife?
No, his girlfriend was the porn star, but he has done stuff with her.
Who's his wife?
Lana Rhodes or something. Lana Rhodes.
Oh, wow. That's kind of creepy. I'd never heard of him, but definitely have heard about her.
Yeah. So his show's pretty big, though. He's had a lot of...
She had a kid or something recently.
Guests.
And was talking about...
He actually had Sneeko on recently.
Interesting.
On No Jumper.
I
don't know if they're still together, by the way. I don't know if he's still
She
with
was
her.
the one who I think she came across an article. They were talking about her saying she's asexual and that just did it because it was incredible money, but makes more money streaming now anyways, so it doesn't matter.
So odd. Lindsay said Hilary Duff and Nicole Richie dated Joel Madden. Oh, okay. Got it.
What happened to Nicole Richie?
I knew there was something like that. Nicole Richie?
What's she up to these days?
Oh, the normal TV personality stuff.
Which is what? Sex tape.
Nothing interesting.
If only.
Nothing interesting. Hobbit said mental illness is good, being fat is healthy, and saying the opposite is hate. Just get off the internet, people. It's going to make life better for all. If we had the option.
But I love the internet.
And I love the internet too, yeah. I love what it was supposed to be, and I love its potential.
The love-hate relationship of it is...
Normies ruined it.
Yeah.
True. Terrence Rice said, my name is Terrence. My pronouns are black self. I have a condition called IDGAF, and you all need to be aware of it.
Terrence, we are very aware, my friend.
Yeah.
You are seen and you are heard here.
You have been seen. You have been heard.
Nathan Settlemeyer said in her defense, she sounds effing crazy.
That's the problem, though. We're elevating that. Just because you're aware of who you are and you've come to terms with what you're suffering from does not mean it's something for society to aspire to.
I mean, maybe she's crazy, but she doesn't have OCD. It's possible. F off said, she is so messed up in the head. I feel so bad for that child. This is why I'm grinding for cash and making a bunch, trying my best to teach these young men how to have respect for, I didn't see what the rest of that was.
For yourself.
For yourself?
Yep. And then he says, I'm pissed. Like, it's like they did a lot about, like, say what you want about, like, somebody like Andrew Tate who has particularly, like, verbose ways of talking about things. But he said a lot of stuff in that same realm, right? Where that dudes need to stop judging themselves by the society, the standards that society has for them, because it's a losing game, because society is in a way going to tell you that at your core masculinity is bad, and your most natural of impulses are to be quelled and quashed. Now, there's a lot of stuff he says that's obviously objectionable, but they don't want you to hear any of it. So it's a problem.
And that Streisand affects Andrew Tate.
And that kid, and he's right, the kid is the one who loses in this situation, because think of Charlize Theron having it's bad. I not Charlize Theron, but or Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade and everything going on there with their son and everything like that. It's just bad.
Hobbit said, this conversation is boring and sad. Let's party.
Well, we did. Thank you.
High Voltage 75 said, are you going to check out the new Wednesday TV series? As a fan of the 90s Addams Family movies, it actually looks kind of interesting. People were worried about how they were going to portray Wednesday, because there's a whole new, like, obsession with outcast protagonists.
Yeah.
When they did it first the right way.
And let's face it, probably won't be done as well as it was.
I don't know, though.
Very few things are.
Potatoes for Seamus said, bless me, Brett, for I have sinned.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Dane, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Let everyone know where they can find you. You look like I caught you off guard there.
Yes. So you can find me on a new free Twitter at Dane Font. DANEFON as in no T. Last time I spelled it out, a lot of people actually did it. So
perfect.
Oh, okay.
Mary, where can they find you?
You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can read my inane thoughts on Twitter, also at Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, you can follow me, if you so desire, on Instagram at Brett Dassick for the show. We are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are now back to our regularly scheduled problem Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got one more from Hobbit, says, today's stream brought to you by F Off. Yes, very much. Thank you, F Off. Thank you, everyone, today. It's been a lot of fun. We are also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. Halls and the Kids says, hostage party. That will remain to be seen. We are also on social media, Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Later.
Bye.